right, we're good. I don't know why I say 3, 2, 1 to be honest, because
It's the Joe Rogan podcast. He goes,
well,
3, 2, 1, and we're live.
well, you could do that, but like I think about it, I'm like I can edit this out like after I'm recording. So I think at this point I'm just gonna let it run and then include this part.
Let it roll. Let it roll.
Because I think it would be funny. But anyways, welcome to the JTM, everybody. I'm here with my good friend Connor MacKinnon on the most pristine MacBook Pro I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, if y'all are watching this, like, I feel like if I had that MacBook Pro, this would probably be a 1080p video, even though technically Zoom only allows you to do 720p. But with that picture, dude, I mean, I'm telling you, like, your eyes are moving and it looks like it's like in slow motion. Like, I feel like I'm not that I've ever done this because I legitimately have not, but it looks like your eyes, like on the camera, it looks like you're on like a psychedelic trip, like the way your eyes are moving, like when I'm looking at the camera. And I'm like, I swear, I'm not even just saying this on a podcast, not taking LSD, but that's like what it looks like from, when you see it in movies and stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm just drinking coffee, but you never know what's in it. It's just coffee.
But anyways, yeah, as you can see, we both got our jerseys on. It's the second edition of the NFL prediction series here on the JTM. Obviously, Connor, that's an Eagles hat too, right?
Yeah, it is. Old-fashioned Eagles.
Yes, sir. So he's got the new and the old. We were just talking about before the podcast how the Eagles like graphic design for like their schedules has been completely updated and it looks really cool. And we were kind of hoping that, hey, the Eagles jerseys have been the same for a while. Not that they're bad. But if we got a redesign using this like color palette, they would look. I see that they could be some of the best jerseys in the league.
It could be. I mean, in my opinion, besides the Saints, I really love the Seattle Seahawks jerseys. I've always been a big fan since they revamped them. Probably one of my favorite jerseys. And we talked about Oregon as well. The college football team, Oregon, they just have an amazing set of jerseys every single season. So maybe just take some inspiration. I mean, don't take the LA Rams graphic designer, whoever made that.
Don't do that.
Have you seen the players' reactions?
Like, I haven't seen the players' reactions. Did you see my reaction, Connor? Put it on Twitter. I'm playing.
It's so bad. Just they act like they're so happy, but I could tell deep down they're sad because they're
more. It's rough. The helmet was good. I like the matte blue. Yeah. I think the helmet was a bright spot. But anyways, you mentioned Oregon, and the reason that we were talking about that and we bring that up is because if you look at the color palette on, like, if you go look at the 2020 schedule, like graphics that the Eagles have been releasing on Twitter, it might be on Instagram too. I don't follow them on Instagram, to be honest, so I don't know. But the color palette is similar to that of Oregon. So, I mean, if they did something like that, they would have some pretty sick jerseys. But anyways, like I said, this is the second edition of the NFL prediction series, and Connor is obviously a big Eagles fan, and we're going to go through their schedule here in a little bit. But before we get into that, I would like to say that I am wearing a Drew Brees jersey. Just
because Jude was wearing a New Orleans Saints jersey when I came on. I was like, oh, I got to wear Eagles jersey too. I can't just be wearing some white T-shirt.
This is going to be a lot of money, worth a lot of money in like 40 years.
I have a Drew Brees jersey that's up in the attic right now, and it's awesome. Like I have to go, but it's an awesome jersey. It would make you just like, damn, that's a good jersey. I spent a lot of money on that jersey.
Yeah, I have a Peyton Manning jersey from the Broncos, and I'm just gonna let that sit for like 40 years and sell that for a ton of money when I'm like, old and have kids, and like put it into their college savings or something. But yeah, it's a Broncos jersey, so that's gonna be even more rare, like 40 years down the line. Whenever he dies, do you know how much money that's gonna be worth?
I don't know. I don't want to think about Peyton Manning dying yet. It still does wonderful commercials.
See, bro, I'm already thinking about exploiting Peyton Manning's death.
Rest in peace.
This is the JTM. This is the type of content we get. Nah. No, but seriously, obviously, I hope Peyton Manning doesn't die anytime soon because I freaking love Peyton Manning. Where is he from? He's from NOLA. I hope Arch Manning, who's down there in NOLA, the grandson of Archie Manning and the nephew of Eli and Peyton, I hope he comes to LSU. I don't know if it's going to happen. He's not – I don't know if you know about that. This is totally off topic, but we're getting into it because we just talk on here. But Arch Manning, right, Cooper Manning's son,
Okay.
And he was the guy. He was a really good receiver at Ole Miss, but he ended up getting hurt, which ended his career. It was like a really bad injury, and he, decided not to play anymore. Arch Manning is ridiculously good. He started as a freshman this year. But no, they're like not, he doesn't have any social media. Like they're not letting any colleges contact him. I don't think that's going to happen until his senior year. So it's a really interesting approach by the Mannings.
Well, I mean, if you're a Manning, just the last name too, and being related to Peyton and Eli Manning, it's kind of big shoes to fill in. And
Yep.
if you're a parent, you don't want that pressure on your child ever. And I think trying to prepare them or trying to delay it as much as you can is the best thing you can do for a kid. But no matter what, you're going to be compared to Eli and Peyton Manning. It's just something you're going to have to deal with. But as long as you can just be who you are as a person, that's all that matters. But yeah, I can't imagine. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. I don't think anyone wants to be in that situation. We'll have to wait and see, though. Hopefully a good career.
I totally get like I get where they're coming from. Like I totally get the no social media thing and all that stuff. But honestly, like I feel like if you're getting recruited, like you're getting recruited, I can understand maybe them wanting to wait until like his sophomore, junior year, but they're planning on like not doing like anything from what it seems. So I don't know. I heard a crazy story that like before this season like even started down in Newman High School in New Orleans. Coach O, like before this dude's ever played like a high school snap, he reached out and was like trying to get in contact. He's like, I'd like to offer Arch a scholarship. And they were like, we don't do that. And Coach O was like, well, I love you. And they hung up, or something. I don't know. You know that we want to get the best players in Louisiana on this team. So, yeah. But, anyways, I just thought it was funny that I was like, of course, the first person would be Coach O to reach out, even though he knew he was probably going to get rejected. But
yeah. I know. College football is more. I'm starting to get into it a little more, but that's more your territory.
Yeah.
I'll watch it, but yeah, I haven't even picked a team yet.
Yeah.
So I'll have to see. Figure who I'm rooting for. I'm not picking the Gators though. That's a team I'm not going to go with.
Dude, it's crazy. Florida and Florida, A&M, and Georgia. And I can understand Alabama, and I can honestly even understand Georgia to an extent because they got a good transfer quarterback in Jamie Newman. He played out of his mind last year at Wake Forest. And all of those teams, so Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, and Alabama, and I think also Auburn, they're all ranked above LSU in like Las Vegas odds to win the SEC. I can understand three of those teams. I can see Georgia, Bama, and Auburn, but Florida and A&M, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Oh, I don't know about A&M either. They always disappoint every single season.
Yeah.
They always start off strong and just fail.
Yeah, Kellen Mond, their quarterback, came out and said that he was like, I think that we can have a jump like LSU did this season. And I was like, okay, but the difference is LSU won 10 games the year before. You went 7-5.
I know thanks to Kellen Mond, he's a decent quarterback. I mean, he made a few plays what made me kind of go, oh, he can. But
he's talented.
He's talented. I just don't think, I don't know. He's a really good runner, and he can throw the ball decently, but I just never saw him on the screen pop to me. I mean, Joe Burrow, when I watch him, I'm like, oh, yeah, he's a solid quarterback. You watch quarterbacks, you just kind of know. I never really got that feeling with Kellen Mond. And I remember watching that went to 6 overtimes.
7
overtimes. I remember watching that game.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. I just remember when he threw a pick, but his knee was down, so it wasn't a pick. And I went, oh, goodness sakes. But
and then the throw after that, it was a yard short, but they don't talk about that. I have picture evidence of that. So if anybody wants to dispute that, just hit me up on Twitter and I will send you the literal evidence that LSU won that game because you can't dispute it. But anyways, it doesn't really matter because the next year, we won 50-7. So, and we didn't need to care that much, but we remembered that and we beat the literal crap out of them. And Miles Brennan, our backup quarterback, threw a 50-yard touchdown pass against their starters. So it was a great game. That was a great day for me. When Joe Burrow came out in the jersey that was spelled Burrow, like Burrow, Burreaux. I knew, I was like, yeah, we're about to kill them. But anyways, we got a little bit off topic there, but I wanted to talk a little bit and BS with you a little bit because we can have some fun conversations. But yeah, yeah, right.
It's
But
what podcast is for, man.
but anyways, so yeah, this is like the third time I've said this, but this is the second edition of the NFL prediction series. So we're gonna go through the Eagles' full schedule. But before we get into that, just Connor, tell me how you're an Eagles fan and how long you've been watching them consistently.
This probably was the 2010-2011 season when Michael Vick officially kind of started for the Eagles after Kevin Kolb couldn't really do much. I remember watching a lot of those games when they really started rolling. I think it was right after the Eagles beat the Redskins badly. I mean, everyone knows that touchdown throw that Michael Vick did at the start of the game to Deshaun Jackson touchdown score, and that kind of kicked off.
Yes, sir.
That was one of the first games that kind of got my attention. The Eagles. My dad was always been a Philly Eagles fan. Went back all the way to the 04 Super Bowl. My dad's been repping the Eagles for a long time, but I've been kind of these last few years. I remember when I went to actually a Philadelphia Eagles game in Lincoln Financial Field and saw
When was this?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I went to the Lincoln Financial Field where Vic was still playing. I think it was the
what year? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a 2011-2012 season.
Gotcha.
And it was right after Vic got injured, and then Nick Foles came into play his first minutes of the NFL. So I was there for him when he first came.
Dude, that's pretty crazy.
I know, it was pretty great. I remember
he's an Eagles legend, dog.
Yeah, he is. You're in a statue for a reason, but that caused a lot of other issues in the locker room when that happened. But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation about the Eagles, and we'll probably get into that eventually at some point because I have some interesting theories about what's going to happen this season.
Well, I guess with that being said, so mainly just an Eagles fan with your dad because he was watching all the games.
That's kind of what
grew
happened.
Up. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, my dad. Well, honestly, my dad was he's kind of like a Cowboys and a Saints fan because when he grew up, the Saints were like the Aints. You know what I'm saying? And he went to games when they had like the trash bags over their head, so they were really bad. And then also on top of that, he moved to Oklahoma after he lived in Louisiana and Oklahoma, and Houston for like a little bit near the end of like his high school career. But or I say career, it wasn't really a career, like when he was in high school. And yeah, so anyways, he lived in Oklahoma for a couple years. And of course that the closest team, NFL team to Oklahoma is Dallas. And that was like the Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett, and Drew Pearson days. So, those were his guys. Then he really enjoyed watching them because they were also a lot of times on national television. So you kind of, the only favorite team you could really have at those times were a couple because they were the only ones on TV. But he's also always, kind of been a Saints fan, and that's kind of his number one team. But he was a Cowboys fan too. I don't know how I got into that, but anyways, point is, that's how I got into the Saints is because of my dad as well. So I'm getting deja vu. I feel like I've had you on before, or like it wasn't, and I'd like the same thing just happened. This is weird. I don't know. I just had a weird feeling. People who don't know this are probably like, what are you talking about, Jude? Are you on drugs?
Everyone should know what deja vu is. I've had it. It's the weirdest feeling ever.
Yeah, I just had that. It was really weird. But anyways, point is, let's get into this 2020 NFL season schedule predictions, Philadelphia Eagles version with Eagles superfan Connor MacKinnon. So to start off the year, you got a division game. The Saints start off the year with a division game too. And you got it against the Redskins. Now, I think if anybody's super into like offensive line, defensive line matchups, this is going to be a fun game to watch because the Eagles have one of the better offensive lines in the entire NFL, and they're going up against one of the most young and talented defensive lines in the league. So what are your thoughts on this first game, Connor? And who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, well, interesting. Last year, Washington played extremely well to start off the first half against the Eagles, and a lot of that was a bad secondary. I still remember just that onslaught, that the fact that like 300 yards were put up against the Eagles secondary. And actually, a funny note, Ronald Darby, who was the Eagle last year, signed with the Redskins this year. So I'm going to be happy when Deshaun Jackson torches him. But I think this is going to be a closer game than most people realize because the Redskins just got a decent head coach in Ron Rivera. And he's a really solid coach. And from the defensive standpoint, he's really good. He's had some really good studs on the defensive line and linebacker when he was a coach for the Panthers. So I expect the Eagles to win, but it's going to be really close because the Eagles have so much new talent coming in from the cornerback position and the wide receiver position. And I think that might take a few games to adjust, but luckily their first 3 games aren't awful. But I think that Washington game is going to be close. I would say it's going to go either way, just that first. But I think the Eagles can win that first game.
Yeah, I think they're going to win too. And I really like your point with this one being close as well, because I think that the Redskins are going to come out with a lot of confidence now that they've got like a much better head coach, in my opinion, in Ron Rivera. They're getting Darius Geis back too. And I know that he's had some injury issues, but when he's healthy, he's a beast. He can be one of the best running backs in the league.
He torched the Eagles too. He
Yeah,
torched the Eagles
last year.
healthy.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And then also, like I said, I mean, you're going to have to deal with. I think Chase Young's going to come right in. I mean, obviously he's going to have probably his struggles, but he's going to come in and make an immediate impact. And when you've got him to deal with, Deron Payne to deal with, and I believe his name is Jonathan Allen. He's another Alabama defensive lineman that's a beast.
And Kerrigan too.
Yeah, and Ryan Kerrigan. So you got to deal with those 4 on the line basically, and I mean that is going to be that'll definitely cause the Eagles some problems, which is another reason why I think I agree with you. It will be a closer game because I don't think that Carson Wentz will have as much time to just in the pocket that he normally would, and to get out to those receivers, the new receivers, by the way.
There's a lot of new receivers. Jeffrey will be back. Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson. Then you got Jalen Rieger, and you have Marquise Goodwin. Then they drafted another kid.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who the other guy is.
Boise State. I know his name's on the tip of my tongue. John Hightower.
Where's he from?
I think he's from Boise State, if I remember correctly. Maybe I got the other receiver mixed up, but a lot of them are speedsters. And what the Eagles thinking is that when they had the most success, if you go back on YouTube that Redskins game last year, they were down, but Deshaun Jackson came back, had 2 touchdowns that made the game close, and they ended up winning. And I think they want to stretch the field out for Carson Wentz, so they got to blow the top off the defense and have something in the middle for Ertz to get free. So, in theory, they're really
still got 2 good tight ends too.
Yeah, really good 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
But it's all about if this baby can stay healthy. Health is the biggest issue, and if they can stay healthy, they should be able to win this game.
I think Miles Sanders is a little bit underrated in the passing game too, with his speed. Obviously, he's a good running back as well, but I think he's a little bit underrated in the passing game, and he's another weapon that they can use in when Jordan Howard's not. Well, is Jordan Howard still on the team, or did he leave?
No, he signed with
left. Miami. Yeah, that's right. Well, does that mean Miles Sanders is the number 1 guy now?
Miles Sanders is going to be Boston Scott, and I like Boston Scott quite a bit. He reminds me of Darren Sproles.
Well, there's another passing weapon too, but with Miles Sanders being on the ground, he can also be a great weapon in the passing game, although I'm sure they'll have a lot of sets where Boston Scott is, the kind of the running back weapon in the passing game.
Yeah, that's a good point you mentioned, Jude, because Miles Sanders was one of the biggest reasons we had success. I think the only bad game was in the playoff game against Seattle last year, is when he dropped a pass from Josh McCown, and that could have got them a first down and continue the drive. That was the only bad game I saw him where he had a chance to make something happen, but he's just so fast that if he lines up the linebacker, he's going to beat them every single time. And that's what happened in a lot of these games, is that Carson Wentz would have an outlet just to throw to Miles Sanders or Boston Scott, and they get the first down. And if they can have that at the receiving position where they could beat them off the line of scrimmage, that's just kind of what they've been missing. And if, of course, Wentz stays healthy, that's always a question mark. But I think but if we go back to Eagles-Redskins game, Eagles should win that first game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they'll start off 1-0. Just 2 things on just to what you just said. I think that Miles Sanders, if you look at that moment, I don't think Eagles fans are mad at him for that.
No,
because you're a rookie. The fact that was your mistake, you're basically one big mistake you can remember, I think shows just how good he is, that you can only really remember one mistake. And that's unique, definitely with a lot of rookies. A lot of rookies make a lot of mistakes. So the fact that you as a diehard Eagle fan that watches every game only remembers one. I think that speaks volumes
Yeah,
to
and he
Miles
may have a few
Sanders.
fumbles if I remember correctly, but it was nothing where I went, eh. It was mostly the catch. Like sometimes he'd drop them,
Yeah.
but very, very rarely. I was reading some the day that he had the most scrimmage yards with 250 touches or less, and he was number one on the list. And it was like number one on the list with Alvin Kamara and like Christian McCaffrey. So it was a rookie. So it was pretty impressive. And he kind of does remind me of Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I don't want to hype him up too much, but he's got some playmaking ability. So I'll have to see what he does throughout the season.
Super versatile for sure. And I think just one more point on this Redskins game, because of the defensive line, it would not surprise me if you see Jalen Hurts in this game for a read option or something, set to where to deal with, that pass rush so that, I mean, obviously Carson Wentz is mobile, but he's not as mobile as he was before the injuries, and they want to protect him with his injury history. So it would not surprise me if Jalen Hurts is in week 1 in just some formations to deal with that Redskins pass rush.
Yeah, I think having a little bit of something extra for the Redskins to prepare for is going to be a little bit of a, are we going to use Jalen Hurts or not? And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they actually made him throw some passes because, I mean, automatically when you have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, like, oh, he's going to run the ball. But if you kind of trick the defense and maybe actually throw a few passes, that'd be interesting. But I think that also caused a little bit of controversy if you had Wentz out a couple plays and he was throwing the ball. And I don't know. I would like to see him in some sets because I think he's so talented that you have to get him out there. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We'll see if we can see some Hurts and Wentz packages together.
Hey man, Taysom Hill throws passes sometimes. So
but Taysom Hill, he was undrafted, and he's actually faster than Jalen Hurts.
Which is ironic. You wouldn't think that, because Jalen Hurts is pretty fast. But if I'm an Eagles fan, I know you're saying it might cause some controversy, but I'm not mad if you have some sets with Jalen Hurts and he throws the ball.
I'm not mad either. I'm just because I thought it was a good pick in my opinion, which is not a very popular one, but I have my reasons for it, and I think it'll come to play later in the season. But.
Gotcha. Well, now you've got your next home game or your first home game of the season against the best jerseys in the NFL, the LA Rams.
Yeah. Okay. So the Rams are a tricky team. I think the last time they played them, it was when Carson Wentz tore his ACL and MCL. And he was known for throwing that
Aaron Donald
2017. Yeah, and they actually helped Aaron Donald pretty well. If I didn't remember Aaron Donald being a factor in that game. It was mostly just the offenses going back and forth. I think with the Rams, that is an extremely weird game because I don't know where the Rams are at because they seriously underperformed last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they're at now. I mean, they got Jalen Ramsey, but that kind of felt like a desperation thing to go and get him. I mean, he's a solid cornerback. But after he called out all the quarterbacks a few years ago when he was a Jaguar and he got torched.
Yeah,
he didn't look so good. I think the Eagles will win this game. I think actually it will be pretty deciding because I think Carson Wentz wants to make a point because that was the last time you played them. You got injured and you were out. If I'm Carson Wentz, I want some revenge. And I think the only thing that they have defensively that's worth noting is Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. I think they probably have some good linebackers, but I know Deontay Fowler's gone. But, I mean, in that game, it's kind of I think the Redskins game would be closer, but I'm going to pick the Eagles to win that game.
Yeah, I'm with you too. This Rams team, yesterday on the podcast, if you haven't listened to it yet, go listen to it. I did a Buccaneers preview. So it's shameless promo with my friend Ryan. But the whole point is he made a comment basically saying about the Rams that they're probably not going to be that great next year, but they still have Aaron Donald. And they're gonna win some games. I agree with you. I think that the Eagles are gonna win this. I think the Redskins game will be a little bit closer, but I could see this game being like a 28-16 victory 14, or something weird. You know what I mean? The only thing that scares me about this game for the Eagles is Aaron Donald hitting Carson Wentz.
Yeah, and I think I'm not too worried. The thing about Carson Wentz last year is he actually played a full 16 games, and he didn't get injured. And that was the biggest question mark. And he was healthy, but in the playoff game, he got speared from behind from Jadeveon McClowney, and he just – I mean, I don't think it was the best hit in the world, and it probably should have been flagged. I don't remember if it was flagged or not, but I don't think any quarterback's coming back from that hit.
Yeah.
It was a pretty bad hit. I mean, if he would have stayed in the game, who knows? And I feel bad because he did play a full 16 games. He played the whole season, and then that Seattle game just got injured, and they were in a good role too. I'd be worried too because Aaron Donald, the best defensive lineman in the NFL.
He's jacked too.
I know. I watched.
Like he's not fat. Like he's not a fat. Like if you look at him in the jersey, you think he's got the physique defensive lineman, and then you see a picture of him, and you just realize, no, this dude is just pure muscle.
No, it's scary. And I saw the thing on the Instagram where it wasn't actual knives, but like it was knives, and he was like dodging them back and forth. He was making move. It's just another level. Yeah. I think because I don't know where he's gonna be lined up. Because if I were Aaron Donald, I'll line up on the left side. Because I don't think we're getting Jason Peters back. There's rumors about how he's going to possibly re-sign with the Eagles, but there's interest from other teams. So it's going to be the rookie. Well, it's going to be the second year actually, Andre Dillard. And he was a first-round pick 2 years ago.
And you have to deal with Aaron Donald in your second game. Well, and that's after dealing with Daron Payne. I mean, these are two defensive line games that definitely the offensive line is going to have a handful the first two games.
Yeah, so if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm slightly nervous because I don't know what I'm getting from the left tackle position and how that's going to be hold up. I know what I'm getting from the right side. Got Jason Kelce, Brandon Brooks.
That's the best part of that offensive line. And why they're one of the best in the league.
Yeah, and Isaac Alamalu, I don't know if I say his name. Whatever.
Something Simone.
I apologize. But anyways, if you ever listen to this, I would know you do a great job blocking for us. But yeah, that's what I would be concerned about is just that left tackle position. I don't know if they get Jason Peters back, and Jason Peters was in and out of the lineup last year. He just wasn't healthy. He wants to play until he's 40, but the offensive tackle position, it doesn't last very long. You maybe got like a few 10 to 15 years.
Maybe you move him to guard or something. Go interior. I don't know.
Maybe. Let's see.
We'll have to see for sure. But anyways, on the JTM so far, the Eagles are 2-0 to start the season, and we're in agreement. I've agreed with everybody on like every pick, like now so far in the show, because I had Ryan on and we predicted the exact same schedule, and it wasn't even me just like listening to him. Like we just really thought the same thing, except for the Super Bowl. We did have a disagreement on the Super Bowl in yesterday's episode. But what I'm sure we won't have a disagreement on is this third game against the Bengals at home. Another quarterback that wears number 9 will go in and show that he's the greatest quarterback in NFL history. But it really just on the road to being the greatest quarterback in NFL history because the Eagles are going to win this game.
Yeah, the Eagles are going to win this game. The Bengals, I think they have to build a few more years through the draft and get some free agents. But I think Joe Burrow's going to have some good moments. I really do. But that offensive line for the Bengals is something that's going to be very troubling for the next few years. And I feel bad for Joe Burrow because it's going to be a difficult game for him. But he's got some good receivers. And A.J. Green still, T. Higgins. That's what I'm concerned about a little bit because the secondary for the Eagles has been good. But you got Darius Slay. So he should be able to shut down T. Higgins or A.J. Green, whoever they want to put on. And we'll have to see. I think that's an easy win, though. I feel like it should be like a 3-touchdown win or 2-touchdown win.
I agree. This is a game that I think you, me, and Amanda need to watch. We need to get together and watch this game.
Yeah, I really want to watch this game just to see Joe Burrow because I love watching the NFL in general. And watching Joe Burrow, I can't wait to watch his first game.
Yeah, he's going to be interesting. Like I said, I don't know how he's going to do. He's either going to be I think he's either going to be really good or he's going to suck. Like, I don't think there's any in between.
I think he's going to be good. I'm pretty confident he'll be fine.
I was going to say if he's not good though, like I don't think he's going to be mediocre. Like if he's not good, he's going to be really bad. That's what I think. I think he's either going to be really he's going to be a solid quarterback that'll play for 15 years and be have a pretty good career, or he's just going to be awful. I don't think there's any in between. But regardless, the Eagles are 3-0 so far on this podcast and through the JTM's predictions. And then you got probably your toughest game of the year this far, where you go on the road and play San Francisco.
Yeah. 49ers, I wouldn't want to wish this on anyone. Their defense is absolutely solid. Their offense is okay. Jimmy Garoppolo, he can throw the ball, but sorry, my
You're
cat,
good. You're
my
good.
cat's in here. So my dad thought it'd be funny to place her on top of the keyboard, so I'm trying to get her off. Like my dad came in, I'm going, what is he doing? And he's like, just dropped the cat here. And I'm like, I'm doing a podcast. And then he just left.
He's like, you don't make money off this.
Yeah,
Why are you doing this?
but he's back to the. I think this is a loss. I don't want to say it, but I think it will be close though.
Yeah.
The Eagles are really weird because they will play good teams and they'll probably make this close, but I see the 49ers winning this game just because you're playing at home. Well, they're playing away on the road against the 49ers, so that's going to be a difficult team to beat. I think that's going to end up being a loss for the Eagles. So it'll be 3-1, which is still a pretty good start. But I just think the D line for the 49ers is just going to be a little bit too much. And I think that secondary is pretty solid.
I 100% agree with you. Like I said, or just like in my 2 podcasts, I feel bad because I'm like agreeing with y'all. But I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable to say that the Eagles are going to win the first 3, and then their first loss will come against San Francisco on the road. I know San Francisco is going to be hungry this season, and they got a little bit better. And now they've also got a tougher defensive line. They just basically replaced DeForest Buckner with Javon Kinlaw, who's really talented and a beast. Funny story. One of my friends, like lifelong friends that I had on the podcast a couple weeks ago, he's an offensive lineman for North Alabama, Christian Barnes. He met Javon Kinlaw because they went to the same community college before they went D1. Obviously, they weren't there at the same time, but Javon Kinlaw would go back to Jones Community College in Mississippi and like talk to him. And Christian is 6'4", 300 pounds, right? So dude's big, right?
Yeah.
And he said that Javon Kinlaw's like hand like encapsulated like his, like, and he was saying like, because Javon Kinlaw is like 6'6", so that was a really underrated pick, I think, in this draft, and that was a really good pick for the Niners because while they don't have DeForest Buckner anymore, they have this uber athlete who's huge playing nose guard, kind of like Jadeveon Clowney in college, and they both went to South Carolina. But I think he's like got a 8-pack, but he's a nose guard. So he's got a lot of speed. That's what Christian told me. I mean, he said dude is like ridiculously athletic. But yeah. Anyways, that's just going to be somebody that they're going to have to deal with in that game who I think could make an impact.
Yeah, I think the 49ers, they just have a really good organization. They remind me a lot of the Eagles in a way just because there's really have a good solid owner, GM, and they have a pretty good quarterback. I think the only questions with Jimmy Garoppolo is can he be consistent? Because there's moments when he played for the Patriots, he was really good. And there's moments in Super Bowl. Actually, no, there's no moments in Super Bowl. He overthrew one of the receivers. I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, so bad.
I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah,
he basically that. I mean, they had a chance to get back in the game, and he missed the throw.
I think I'm trying to be too nice with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think
he's good. No, like he's not that bad. He got them to a Super Bowl, but it was mainly because of their running game.
What was the one game that he had? He only attempted 8 passes.
That was in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I went, what?
Yeah,
you can't. I knew that they probably weren't going to win the Super Bowl because of that, and I was glad I picked the Chiefs because a lot of people were picking the 49ers just because they look better on paper. And I went, well, I'm going to take Patty Mahomes and take it home.
That's what I said too. Like I was like, Brad, I'm picking the Chiefs just because Patrick Mahomes beats Jimmy Garoppolo 10 out of 10 times.
No, it was. I think it's like I said though. I think it will be a close game. I think the Eagles will have an opportunity to win the game.
I agree.
I think they'll have an opportunity, and they could win this game. But part of me is really nervous because I don't know how these receivers are going to respond to defense like this. And maybe I'll be surprised and they win this game because the Eagles have a tendency to do that. Because Carson Wentz, towards the latter part of last season, was showing that he can come in clutch and make touchdown throws when they needed him to. So I trust him to make plays. It's just about the receivers.
Yeah.
We don't have a Nelson Aguilar anymore, but we still have Alshon Jeffrey. And I don't know if he's going to be healthy in this game. He's the kind of a receiver that we need because he's a big body receiver. That's going to be important, I think, in the end zone. If we get in the red zone, we're going to need him to play big. So we'll see. I think the Eagles have an opportunity to win, but I think the 49ers are going to beat them. Just gut feeling.
I think this will be a close game, but it'll end up being a loss just because, honestly, I think objectively this I don't like the Niners at all. Let me say this. So it pains me to say this, but I think objectively the Niners are just a better overall team.
Yeah.
But yeah, earlier I was kind of giving you a questionable face, and I don't know if you were wondering, but I'm sure people who are watching and are wondering. And for those of you on the audio, go watch YouTube, or if you don't want to watch it on YouTube, that's totally fine too, because I think I would make more money off of the audio version anyway. So I'm only here and doing these podcasts so I can make money off of you people. I hope you all know this.
Just press play. No. All we're asking you is to press play.
All you have to do is press play. But anyways, the reason I was giving you that questionable face is because you said, the Niners remind me of a great organization, kind of like the Eagles. They have a good owner and a good GM. And I was like, are you really a fan of Howie, whatever his last name is, Connor?
Okay. The issue with Howie Roseman is
it is Roseman? Okay.
Yeah, Roseman. He is a good GM because he knows how to make deals and restructure contracts so they're not cap strapped every single year, which is a really good skill to have, because I think with a lot of teams that overpay players and it really starts to cost them. I think the only bad deal that he really made in the last few years was Alshon Jeffrey giving him that extension. That was only the bad decision that he made, and I couldn't really blame him giving that extension because he played great in the Super Bowl.
I gotcha.
He had that one great touchdown grab where he just caught it in the end zone, and it was perfect. And I thought, yeah, he's going to be a valuable piece, but I think he's starting to be a little more of an issue. But I think with Howie Roseman, he thinks he's smarter than everyone, so he does have
deficiencies. I was waiting for those.
Yeah, he thinks he's really smart, so he'll make choices that may not benefit the team. And that you can argue that point for Jalen Hurts, because you can argue, well, why would you take Jalen Hurts? It makes sense if you took a quarterback really late, that had the kind of the same abilities, but maybe not as talented. But I think that showed how much they're concerned with Carson Wentz's health.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you make that pick, because they're going to say, oh, yeah, well, it was a decision because we passed on Russell Wilson, so we didn't want to pass another Russell Wilson. And is Jalen Hurts going to be Russell Wilson? Unlikely. It's hard to beat Russell Wilson, but he's got talent and he's got the work ethic to be great. So I'm not going to doubt him, because I think he can be a solid player. A lot of people didn't see it in Russell Wilson. I think Jalen Hurts is a great leader. But, yeah, I think just being too cute with the picks. I think a little bit. I think he's a good GM. He's just a little too – I'm a little smarter than you, so I'm going to take this.
Yeah, I think that perfectly encapsulates their first-round pick. And I think Jalen Reagor is going to be good. I think he would have been good regardless of where he was drafted. He literally carried that TCU team. But like you said, being a little too cute, like, oh, I'm going to be the hipster guy and not pick Justin Jefferson, when everybody knew that was the best receiver on the board.
I was mad. I was fuming because that's what we didn't have. We didn't have a consistent slot receiver. And
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you don't have a consistent slots receiver, and that's exactly what Jay Jets plays. But he can play on the outside too if you need him to. And then on top of that, I know you want speed, right? And I get that's why we drafted Reagor. We want somebody who's fast. But Jefferson still runs a 4.4. So it's like, I don't really, I mean, obviously I'm biased being an LSU fan, but I think a lot of people would agree, just from what we've seen in college, Justin Jefferson was the better receiver in comparison to Reagor.
Yeah, Reagor had a bad quarterback, so that played a factor. But, when you look at his vertical for being 5'11", 6 feet tall, he is an insane vertical. And apparently, rumors says that he does run a 4.28, and that 4.46 is really deceiving. And I watched him play on the field; he just looks fast. So I can get that. That just looks deceiving. So maybe I believe a 4.28. But if he had a 4.28 and he ran it, I think you can argue he could have been taken over, possibly. Goodness, I'm drawing a blank on him. The Raiders drafted him. Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
You could argue that, but Henry Ruggs is just in a better system. And he's incredibly fast. He's game-changing fast.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill fast. So you got to take that pick. But, we'll have to see. I kind of that medium. I expect him to contribute. I expect him to make plays, but I'm not saying, he's going to be a number one receiver. I'm not going to have that. If he surprises me, Miles Sanders surprised me. I didn't expect him to do anything last year.
Yeah.
I was like, he'll do some things. He'll be consistent, but he ended up taking. So we'll see. I know Jalen Reagor wants to prove a lot of people wrong, saying that I'm not just a speed receiver. I'm more than that.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, with that being said, I think he will be good. But I thought you just made a great point with the suspect picks sometimes from Howie Roseman. And like you said, as time has passed, I don't mind the Jalen Hurts pick as much. I think it's pretty solid, and I think they took the best player available at that pick as well, which you can never fault a team for doing. But 4 games in, we got the Philadelphia Eagles, you and me both, 3-1 on the JTM.
Okay.
And now we got week 5 where you're going to go to Pittsburgh. What do you think is going to happen there?
Interesting. The last time I remember Pittsburgh was when Carson Wentz played his rookie season 2016, and everyone picked the Steelers to beat them. And they actually beat the Steelers, and I remember Darren Sproles. He caught an amazing pass from Carson Wentz, and he ran all the way down the field to get a touchdown. I just remember that stuck in my head. And I remember because that was a big game, and we were 4-1 to start off that 2016 season. And we started off really strong, really well. I was going, oh, boy, Carson Wentz, the Eagles got something coming. Then the defense just started adjusting, and they kind of figured out where, and then it kind of went downhill. And Lane Johnson being injured really impacted us. But
yeah,
I think when it comes to the Steelers, I don't know what's going on with the quarterback situation. They said Ben Roethlisberger's coming back, but he doesn't look the same. I don't trust him as a quarterback, and any other quarterbacks that they have right now, I just don't trust them. The Eagles should win this game. I think it's not going to be like an insane blowout, but it's going to be by a pretty good margin where they won that game.
I think that the Steelers that they're going to start. I think they're going to start Big Ben.
Okay.
And you're going to just know that he's kind of done.
Yeah.
And I think that the Steelers are going to assess themselves and realize that this quarterback draft coming up is ridiculously loaded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the old Steelers are a sleeper tank for Trevor team.
Yeah, I could see that just because.
Or Justin Fields, or Trey Lance, or Jamie Newman.
The Steelers got really good pieces. I know they exercised the 5th option on T.J. Watt, who's been vital to the defense. And I know they still have Juju Smith-Schuster. He's going to be a really solid receiver. I know he didn't have the same numbers he did, but when you had AB on the team, I mean, you're going to be open. And now you're number 1 receiver. It's kind of life for you. But I think he's a solid receiver. But, yeah, I just think they're not going to have a really good season at all. It's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah, and so I agree with you, too. I think they're going to start 4-1 here, just like they did in 2016. Another reason why I feel like they might be in the tank for Trevor thing is because, you've got Big Ben, but I think they're going to realize this year that his career's, it's kind of – I hate to say it because I don't really – I mean, well, why do their quarterbacks all have like some sort of scandals? Like back in the day, Big Ben was in a sexual assault case, and Mason Rudolph is probably a racist. So I think they need a new leader of their team. So
I was watching the NFL's most heated moments in history, and that, of course, the Myles Garrett Mason Rudolph clip came, and I remember watching that going, my goodness. I wasn't watching it live. My phone started blowing up and then I turned on the TV and what's going on? And I saw the replay and went, oh boy. And now you have lawsuits kind of going back and forth that they were threatening to throw at each other because, I didn't say that. No, you said that. It's just back and forth. I mean, that's a whole other issue. But yeah, Steelers, they're not. It's going to be rough here for them.
Yeah.
They'll get a good quarterback, but it's rebuilding mode.
Exactly.
I don't think Ben Roethlisberger is the same guy. I don't know why they're even having him come back, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think they believe in him. They want to give him one more shot. But I think low-key, that's why I'm saying I think they're bringing him back because they're like, we love you, Ben. We believe in you. And they really know they're just going to suck and then draft a quarterback this year.
Yeah,
so, and that's what I think is the plot for the Steelers. So regardless, the Eagles are 4-1. And then I think, unfortunately, Connor, my place – see, you see this lighting? I had my 24-hour white screen on, and now it's turning off. I hate this, how it just goes into rest mode automatically. And now you can barely see my face. But anyways, I think your next game, you're going to come home and you got to play the Ravens. I know, I like to be unbiased here. And I honestly, since I've started dating Amanda and been your friend, I root for the Eagles because of you guys when I can, and they're not playing the Saints. But I think this is going to be a loss.
Oh, yeah, it's a loss. I wasn't going to be like, the Eagles are going to win.
Yeah.
My vision, I had that game kind of circled because
Yeah.
to me, this proves how good the Eagles are going to be. Because the issue they've had, and you look back at Seattle games, they cannot contain a quarterback who's mobile. They cannot contain a quarterback who's mobile, and they went. Russell Wilson manipulated that defensive line so well. He knew where they were coming from, so he would just go away to the right side, look for someone, and he knew the secondary couldn't hold up to that because they just were not good cornerbacks or linebackers. So he would wait, and then the receivers get open, and he'd score a touchdown. And that's the biggest issue the Eagles have, and I think the Ravens will win this game. Is it going to be close? I don't know. I don't know if it will be close. My gut feeling says the Ravens are going to come there and dominate like they usually do. I think the Eagles need to keep up with them score for score. They cannot go down to them. And I feel they'll have one drive that stalls out. Then the Ravens just keep going and going and going and going. And it's probably going to be not a blowout, but convincing enough where the Ravens win.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it might be a little bit closer than you think because it's a home game.
That's true.
The Eagles play pretty good in Lincoln, so I think this will be a pretty close game. And I think that did they play the Ravens last year?
No.
Okay. Well,
No.
they still had to deal with Russell Wilson. They still had to deal with Russell Wilson in the playoffs, and I think that they'll probably learn from that. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is a different animal when it comes to speed, but I think that learning from that playoff loss, like this will be a good test to test this defense, and I think they'll be pretty motivated to try to contain him in some way.
They're going to blitz the hell out of him.
But I think at the same time, the Ravens are going to pull this one out.
Yeah, what's going to have to happen is the Eagles, they don't want to get him out of contain, so they're going to blitz him heavily so they get the ball out of his hands quickly. And Lamar Jackson's a capable thrower to throw the ball on target most of the time. And it will also kind of push Lamar Jackson thing a little bit because a lot of people won't blitz because if one guy misses, it's pretty bad. But I think it's going to be a heavy blitz on the part of the Eagles defense to try and disrupt his throwing and make sure he doesn't escape the pocket. But they'll definitely have a QB spy. But I don't know how effective that's going to be. I don't know if you're going to put on him. It's going to be keep up.
Will they even be able to tackle him? Like, not as in can they tackle him, but will he juke them out or just outrun them?
Yeah, the issue is the one thing the Eagles have, which is a good thing. They have a really good rushing defense. They are known for stopping the run, and they can stop the run, and that's their bread and butter for the Ravens. But the one thing the Ravens do have the Eagles don't is just the mobility from the QB position to make plays, because even when they can't get the run game going, they can get Lamar Jackson outside, get him some runs in, throw the ball. I think that's going to be the biggest difference. I think they could stop Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins. They can probably hold them to a decent amount of yards, but you're not holding Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Whenever you're playing the Ravens, every play is basically an RPO. So that's about it. That says it all. So 6 weeks through the season, your Eagles are 4-2 according to the JTM, which is pretty good. And I think your next game, which will be against the Giants on a Thursday night, will make you guys 5-2.
Yeah, the Giants, I don't know what they really have been doing.
Yeah, they got Daniel Jones. Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good pick.
Daniel
planned out pretty well.
He's pretty solid. He's accurate, and he does kind of remind me of Eli Manning in some aspects. I still think they need a few more years to develop. I don't see the Eagles losing this game at all.
Especially at home in a primetime game.
Yeah, they're gonna win it. Probably wear the color rush jerseys and pull this off.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's funny you say that because Ryan said that on yesterday's episode too. He was like, he said Daniel Jones is basically the Kristaps Porzingis of the New York Giants, and they've drafted it. Everybody booed and hated it. And now they're like, okay, we actually like this.
Sure, that's a good person too.
Yeah, he's a good person too. He's a good leader. They've got a great backfield for the future in him and Saquon Barkley. If Saquon can stay healthy, I know that Saquon's really, 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 really good. But just the way that running backs go these days, especially with how much he's carrying the football early in his career, that's something that I do have a little bit of a concern about. But like you said, and like Ryan said yesterday, they're still a couple years away. Like they're just building, they're rebuilding. I think like you said, if everything goes well for them in 5 years, they're going to be a solid team with probably one of the best, backfields in the NFL. But as of right now, obviously the Eagles are probably going to dominate this game. I think, at home. It's a little bit close because it's a division game, but I personally think that this will be a pretty dominant game, which will move the Eagles to 5-2 on the season through 7 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm looking down their free agents. They signed Dion Lewis, who was a former Eagle, and
Yeah,
it was I think that's a good pickup. Dion was pretty good, but there's no one that stands up on the screen. Of course, they exercise the 5th year's option on Evan Ingram, who's solid. He's basically a wide receiver playing 10.
yeah.
No one could really cover me after Jabril Peppers. They just don't really have anyone besides Daniel Jones, and Sterling Shepard's pretty good wide receiver. He's no Odell Beckham Jr. And it would have been different if they kept him, but it's just what it is right now. They're trying to rebuild. I'm not a fan of the head coach. I don't even know who the head coach's name is. I've heard it before.
I'm not a fan of Jason Garrett being their offensive coordinator either.
Oh, never mind.
If they suck this year, it's his fault.
I forgot about that.
The fact that was a hire is stupid.
I laughed really hard when that happened too. I totally forgot about that.
Me too.
It made me laugh really hard. Yeah, the Giants definitely losing this game now.
They're losing probably every game. They might beat like the Bengals, but I don't even think I think, I know I've said I'm concerned about Joe Burrow, but even at that point, dude, I forgot about Jason Garrett. I know this is probably an exaggeration and it's not going to happen, but if the Giants go 0-16, it's because of Jason Garrett, and I'm not surprised. But anyways,
trade Daniel Jones for another.
Yeah, and then okay, so just scrap this year. Hopefully for Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley's sake, old boy Jason Garrett is fired after this year. I don't know why they hired him. That's stupid. But
the clapper, goodness.
Anyways, my dad calls him Carrot Top. But anyways, through 7 weeks, Eagles are 5-2 on the JTM. Me and you are in agreement so far. And then you've got probably, I know I said, you've had some tough teams with the Niners and the Baltimore Ravens. Those are your only 2 losses. And to be fair, those are some of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, and I could argue they'll win. They'll probably win maybe one of those. But I think they're losses right now until I see what the Eagles can do. But I think they'll still lose the Ravens regardless. But that 49ers game could be a winnable situation. That's
definitely a winnable game. Yeah,
definitely winnable. Ravens, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't think there's going to be any drop in play from the Ravens. They're going to be exactly. They'll probably be facing off.
They're probably going to be better, especially since he learned from that playoff loss. So
yeah, it was. I remember watching. I was so disappointed. I really wanted Lamar Jackson to win. I thought
you wanted to see Pat Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship.
So bad.
It'll probably happen this year. Happen this year. So
the next 5 years,
dude, it's gonna be so fun. But anyways, so yeah, but like we said on here, we've got them at 5-2. We've got losses to 2 of the best teams in the NFL, and now you've got a team that could be, I don't know, with their history, they could also go 8-8 like they usually do. But they have the potential, just like it seems every year, to be one of the best teams in the league. And it seems like they got better, and they don't have Jason Garrett anymore. So I think that at least is going to make them somewhat better. They should at least go 9-7 now that they don't have the most incompetent head coach in NFL history.
Here's a thing that a lot of people don't know, or people who don't pay attention to NFC East. There's never been a back-to-back NFC champion since 04 or something, back the early 2000s.
NFC East?
Yeah, NFC East. There's never been
back-to-back. Gotcha. Okay.
Early 2000s, there has been back-to-back NFC East champions, so there's never been a repeat. And that kind of tells you how difficult this division is. And the Eagles will be the first to do that since early 2000s. And so the history is not in their favor. And the Cowboys, they're in a really, 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 really weird position because they just got CeeDee Lamb. Their offense is going to be probably explosive. But what's going on with Dak Prescott? I don't know if they're going to pay him.
Is Andy Dalton their starting quarterback?
That's what I don't know. And even if Andy Dalton does start,
they're still going to be good.
Dak Prescott's obviously better, but Andy Dalton's still a solid quarterback, and he can still put up numbers. I'm not worried about them tanking because they have Andy Dalton. They picked up,
and that will be the best offensive line that he's played with in his entire career.
Yeah,
and probably the best receiving core as well.
Yeah, I just when it comes to this game, I just don't know because there's so many question marks, and I don't know what they're going to be looking like at this point. Either it's going to go really well or really bad, and it just depends. This is a kind of iffy game for me because I know I look at the Giants and I look at the Redskins and go, okay, I know what I'm getting. But when I look at the Cowboys, I have no idea what I'm going to get. It's still going to be competitive, and it's going to be at Lincoln Financial Field, which is odd because usually it's you go to Jerry World first, and then you go to Lincoln Financial Field. But now it's switched. I think the Eagles will win.
I agree.
But it is going to be very, very close, like always.
I agree.
I just don't know. Like, you know what
Another
I mean?
thing is, Connor, and I'm not trying to interrupt you,
Go
even
ahead.
though I am, is that's off a Thursday night game too. So they're going to have a little bit more time to prepare for that game than the Cowboys will. And I think I'm going to spoil this. I think that just like I mentioned in yesterday's episode, how the Bucs and the Saints are going to split the season series. I think that's what's going to happen with the Eagles.
Yeah.
And I think just because this is predictions and we're still in May, what I'm going off of is just that, you know, each team will win their respective home game. So I have the Eagles winning this too and moving to 6-2 on the year.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. The issue with predictions is that I don't know what Mike McCarthy's going to bring to that head coach position, and is Dak Prescott going to be there? Because I'm honestly thinking if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm really pissed, frankly, because you got another quarterback. You paid him $7 million. Well, $4 million, $7 million if he hits all the incentives, but you didn't pay me. The issue is they already paid Ezekiel Elliott. Bad deal. If they didn't sign Ezekiel Elliott, they would have been able to sign Dak Prescott by now. And they signed DeMarcus Lawrence to a close to $100 million extension as well. So they're not cap strapped because they can still pay him, but no one knows what amount Dak Prescott wants. No one knows how much he wants to be paid. And I think the Cowboys will fold and pay him, but I think there could be a situation where they go, we're not going to pay it, so it's Andy Dalton.
Yeah. I think this year, I think Dak will play. I really think that I think he'll play because if he plays, first of all, it's not like the Melvin Gordon situation in Los Angeles. I almost said San Diego. In Los Angeles, where like the Chargers suck anyways. So it's like there's no point in playing basically. And now he's at least on like a team in a better direction with Denver, right? But whenever it comes to the Cowboys, they're a team that if everything goes well, you could see them like potentially competing for a Super Bowl, right? They have the talent on their roster. Do I think it's personally going to happen? No, but I feel like Dak Prescott probably believes that they're a Super Bowl contender.
Oh, no,
and the thing is, if that happens, or even if they just go to the NFC Championship this year, or even just make it to the divisional and they have a successful year and lose to some really good team like the Niners or the Saints or the Buccaneers in a close game, right? Yeah. Hell, even the Packers, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of good teams in the NFC that you can lose to. Then he has all the leverage for the future because he can be like, look, I just brought us to a really good season after we struggled last year and were underwhelming. I had a pretty good year. We lost to, especially if they lose to a team that like ends up winning the Super Bowl in a close game, be like, we played that team like, I don't think that's going to happen because I personally think the Chiefs are going to win again. But regardless, point is, he's going to have all the leverage if they have a successful season. So I think he should play. He's getting a lot of money with the franchise tag anyway. I think he will play. And I think he's going to just be like, okay, well, we have a chance to win, so I can do my best to win with these teammates. And if we play really well and the season goes really good, then I can have all the leverage, and if they don't give me what I want, I can go into the offseason and sign wherever I want with somebody who will give me that money. And then if things don't go well, then it's like, well, who's your better – I know you have Andy Dalton, but like, I mean, I guess things wouldn't go well for Dak Prescott in that situation now that I think about it. Yeah. But it also wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world because he still can be a free agent and probably get more money somewhere else, even if they have a bad season because he's mobile. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere else and young.
Yeah, he's a young guy who's accurate thrower of the ball. He's consistent most of the time, and he can lead a team. He's a guy that you can build a franchise around, which is what you need in a quarterback. And I'm an Eagles fan. I'm a diehard Eagles fan. But I'm scared of the Cowboys this season because I know the potential of where they can go. They have a team where they can be offensively explosive. And that scares me because, as I mentioned, Jude, history is not on the Eagles' side on this season. Yeah. I want the Eagles to win the NFC East. Do I think so? I'm a little nervous on saying they will because the Cowboys are a good team, and I'm objective enough to say that because I don't like the fans there. But if you look at
their roster,
they have a good roster.
Yep.
And I know Eagles fans are like, yeah, we're the Eagles. And the only thing the Eagles have over the Cowboys, I think, is experience and a mental edge. I think they're mentally tougher than the Cowboys,
I
and
agree.
I think they're battle tested, and
Yeah.
and I think the Eagles improved it a little bit. So that's going to help them because hell, if you can't beat the Eagles when they have guys who they pulled out of the street to come play wide receiver and they beat you, that's not good. And you
Yeah.
can have some pieces because I think I was so mad the Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb. I was hoping anyone else would. I didn't care if the Eagles drafted him at this point. I was like, someone else draft CeeDee Lamb. When they got CeeDee Lamb, I went, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy! I just knew because I went, man. I could see Amari Cooper being shut down for 50 yards, but CeeDee Lamb getting 150 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah. I mean, that made their receiving core really, really dynamic. But yeah, right now we have the Eagles winning this first game though at home in Lincoln, and that makes them 6-2 to start the season. And then they've got a bye week after that. And then they go play the Giants in week 10, which I personally think will be another win,
another
putting
win.
you guys
Yeah.
at 7-2 on the season.
Yeah, it's another win. Like we talked about, Jude, the Giants, they're not. It's going to be another down year. They're going to win a few games here and there, but they're going to get a top pick in the draft. I just don't see anything where it surprised me. Daniel Jones, I love his potential, his upside, but when you don't have a solid O line yet, and you just don't have all the pieces there, it's still going to be a rough season. Yeah, the Eagles should win this game. They should probably sweep the series between the Redskins and the Giants. Redskins a little bit tough, but they should be able to beat them right now.
And I feel like if they win that first game, they're going to end the season at home against them, which
Yeah.
we'll get into a little bit later, which I think will be an easier W. But yeah, that's another simple one. So like we said, that puts them at 7-2 on the season. And then they go to Cleveland, which I think could be an interesting game because it's coming after a potential cupcake win. And you got to go on the road. And I think that Cleveland's going to be better this year.
Yeah, I think with the Cleveland Browns, because the schedule before, because the Eagles had like 2 good teams that they're facing off against, possibly 3 with the Cowboys. Then you get in the real meat of the schedule. This is late in the season. This is when you start playing against some battle-tested teams. And the Browns, they're going to be better this year. There's no question. Because Baker Mayfield had a really good rookie season, and he got really cocky and started doing all the Geico commercials.
And then that's a typical sophomore slump too. Like I know a lot of people were like, Baker's washed and all this stuff, but I think you got to remember this has happened before. The sophomore slump is called a sophomore slump for a reason. It's can he respond? I think this is going to be humbling for him, and I think that he's going to be a lot better this year. And I could see this Browns team making the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm trying. I know they play for the AFC North. I just want to see what teams they have in the AFC North. Okay, it's Baltimore, the Bengals, and the Steelers. And Baltimore's going to win the division. Yeah, but I think the Browns are going to be right behind them.
I think they're going to get a wild card spot, and I could see them getting 10, even maybe 11 wins. But I think they're going to go. I think they could go anywhere. I could be wrong on this, obviously, and they could suck. But I could see them going anywhere from 9-7 to 11-5. But I'm leaning with 10-6.
This game's a little tricky because I think when it comes, because you still have Odell Beckham Jr., got Jarvis Landry, so that's some that you got to pay attention to.
Who did they draft this year? I think they had a really good draft pick too.
Yeah, I have the acquisitions, and it shows me all the free agents they signed. They drafted Cedric Willis Jr. at the number 10 pick.
Jedrick Wills. That was a really good pick at offensive line. I think he was
the offensive lineman who was taken before, and I was like, that's not a great pick. But
yeah. I think, in my opinion, Jedrick Wills is the best offensive lineman in the draft. That's just my opinion personally, because I think he played against the best competition out of everybody, out of all of the offensive linemen in the draft, and was really, really consistent and has the best footwork, in my opinion.
So they're 7-2 right now. Play against the Browns. Because I have a theory.
I think this is going to be a loss, Connor.
I want to say it's a win, but
me too.
I want to say it's a win, but I think it's going to be a loss. And then I think we'll talk about the next game because that's going to be an interesting game. And I agree. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't like this game. I don't like this game coming off the bye week because
Or it's not off a bye week, but it's right after a cupcake essentially in the
yeah,
Giants.
yeah. I just don't. My gut feeling kind of goes no.
Me too. Me
And
too.
I just don't think. I think the Browns are just going to have their day. I don't know who's.
You're going to slip up somewhere. That's what we were talking about
Yeah,
in yesterday's episode with the Bucks. Like we thought like they're going to slip up in some places, and I think this is a game where they could slip up.
yeah, I agree with you because the Browns will be better. Baker Mayfield will be better. Odell Beckham should be. Odell Beckham's questionable with his injury. If he's in the game, I think they're going to win. But if
He
he's not,
seems like he's on the right track. And I know that I'm biased once again because he went to LSU, but I really think that Odell is on the right track because he's been doing a lot less posting, a lot less talking, which I think is what that whole Cleveland Brown team needs. And considering that seems to be a theme around the entire roster with the talent they have, I think that's a really good sign for the Browns. And I think this is a game where it's late in the season and they're going to be like, okay, if we want to get this, I think at this point, depending on, I think the records for the Browns will probably be a little bit worse than the Eagles. So, like, a loss for the Browns at this point in the season is going to mean more than a loss for the Eagles. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, I know what you mean. And the issue with I'm starting to think about it is I don't know. It reminds me of the 49ers game. That's the feeling I have. It's going to be a close game.
I agree.
Go either way, where they could win this or lose this. But I believe in the 49ers winning more than I do in the Browns. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a game here that they'll lose. That's kind of a cupcake game where they should have won it and lost it because these next few games are going to be rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a loss.
Okay. Me too on that one. Another thing with the Browns is I think they're kind of like, I know that changing jerseys doesn't really mean much, but I like what the Browns are doing because when they changed their jerseys initially, like really a whole like image for a franchise like can affect the team. In the LSU documentary that they released yesterday on the SEC network, I know this is a weird connection, but one of the things that Sean Payton talked about in the coaches clinic he did, which is where the Tigers like got Joe Brady, met him and hired him and like or started the relationship and then they eventually hired him away from the Saints. One of the things that Sean Payton talks about like in the documentary at the coaches clinic is like building like, you know, you want to put things up on the wall, you want to match the image of your team and the culture you want to build in like every aspect, right? I think the Browns going back to their old school jerseys is going to help that. And I know this is weird and I know it's like a little thing, but every aspect of your team contributes to the culture. And it seems like with less talking, going away from like all the flashy Browns uniforms that was like a new era and just going back to the old, you know, like OG Browns uniforms that's just hard-nosed football, even though they were terrible during that time. But you know what I'm saying? It's more like of an old school jersey, an old school feel, less talking. I think this Browns team is going to make a turnaround this year. I think, like I said, I think they'll go like 10-6.
Yeah, the Browns team this year should be better.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield got a lot of attention from the media for doing a lot of off season with Geico and not putting the work he should have put in, like Lamar Jackson. There was a segment, I know Colin Cowherd, I know you're not a fan of his, but he did a segment where he talked about that. He's like, Lamar Jackson spent the off season gaining weight and working on his throwing motions while Baker Mayfield was going doing Geico commercials. And Colin Cowherd does not like Baker Mayfield at all.
Because Baker went on his show and told him he was like, dude, you've never played football. Please don't talk to me about how I'm not good, which was the right answer. And he was correct in that. With that being said, yes, Baker did talk a little bit too much trash. And this year he got it punched in the mouth for it. But I think he's going to get better because of that. I don't think he's going to be Johnny Manziel in the situation. I think he's going to become better from it. But yeah, talking about that, the reason that Colin Cowherd doesn't like Baker Mayfield is because Baker Mayfield went on his show and to his face told him things that he didn't want to hear because he knows they're true.
I remember watching that interview too, and he kept pressing him about the bar incident, and like when he got drunk and the police arrested him. And a lot of young people make mistakes.
Dude, you're in college.
He's in college, and I'm not gonna go as like, hey, you made a mistake. I'm sure you learned from it. But
Has it happened since?
Yeah, no. He's a competitive guy.
Exactly.
He works hard too. I know he's the type of guy who makes a mistake but doesn't make the same one twice because he works hard, and I could tell that in Baker Mayfield. He's going to be a tough. This is going to be a team to get in the playoffs. I think they're going to be a little bit dangerous
Yeah,
and tough to
I
beat.
agree. We went so long on the Browns there, but hey, that's great NFL talk because honestly, that's something that I haven't had the chance to talk about, and that's a team that like I can't wait to play with in Madden next year. But as of right now, that makes them, let's see, that has 7-3. So the Eagles are 7-3 according to the JTM through 11 weeks with a bye week. And now they've got a Monday night primetime game. The NFL knew what they were cooking up when they made this the Monday night football game in Lincoln Financial Field, trying to get revenge against the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
I think they'll do it. I think they'll do it, Connor.
Yeah, I think they're going to – that's what I was going to say because I told you, Jude, there's a history between Seattle. Seattle has won every single game with Carson Wentz at the helm. They have not beaten Seattle. And in my opinion, because the Eagles are probably going to face Seattle again in the playoffs. They're not going to go away. Yeah. And there's some things about Seattle that's going on. There was rumors about Russell Wilson being traded to the Browns.
For Baker Mayfield is like,
he is such a great human being and leader. Colin Cowherd, I don't like him, but he had an interview with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was talking, and he asked him about his leadership qualities, and he talked about his parents being the biggest reason. And a lot of his parents are up in the – I know his dad was a president of a college. His mother did a lot of similar things that she was.
He's a great person. And he should have been, I think, more highly considered for the MVP next year. Or last year. I think that Lamar should have won it, but I think no doubt Russell Wilson was in second place because if you look at those San Francisco games, there was like no way that they would have been in that game if it wasn't for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and he's a really great leader. I don't know why that would ever come up in a conversation trading him right now.
Yeah, I have that was dumb.
But he didn't say anything. He didn't mention. He's like, you know what? Talk's gonna talk. It's all in the past. You let it go. Didn't address it, and that's exactly what leaders do. And I think he's just got a rare ability to bring a whole locker room together, and that's so valuable. You can't put a price tag on that. But I think with that being said, I think the Seahawks will have a similar season like last year. They're gonna have some ups and downs, but Russell Wilson's gonna keep them in it just because Russell Wilson's gonna do what he does. But I think the Eagles are going to have to win this game. They have to win this game to prove to themselves that they can beat Seattle. Because if they keep losing to Seattle, I don't think they're going to have that edge going to the playoffs. Just something about this team they can't get over. But
I think they're going to win this one too. Yeah, I just think because it's a Monday night game, it's prime time. Like they're going to have a lot of time to think about this one. This is the latest you can play a game in a week, right? And I just think that this is going to be the game that they break through. And I think I don't know if I would go the same way if it was in Seattle, but I think because it's at home, like I said, I think this will be a great game. This is going to be another one of the best games of the year. I said in week 8, it might be week 9 actually. That's going to be the second Bucs Saints games. I think that'll want to be one of the best games of the year. I personally think that will be the game of the year, but this game is going to be this could be like a top 5 game of the season with the Seahawks and the Eagles.
Yeah, and
Battle of the Birds.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun game to watch. If you go back to Carson Wentz's 2017 season when he was killing it, at that point in time when he was facing Seattle before he faced them, he was considered the face of the NFL. He was being considered to being whatever Patrick Mahomes is right now because he was that talented. And there was a play that he made. He was scrambling over to the right side of the field, and he just launched it 60 yards as he was getting tackled. And Nelson Aguilar caught it, which he doesn't catch very much, but he caught that one. Being honest, he dropped so many passes for us. But he caught it, and it just showed how versatile of a quarterback he is. Carson Wentz needs to win this game because he was knocked out of it. And I think it'd be a really good storyline to say, hey, you lost this team, never got to beat them in the playoffs, and this is your opportunity. And it should show up big.
Yeah. Well, at that point then, I cannot do math. If you listen to yesterday's episode, you'll know that I cannot remember how to count.
Honestly, I really wish I was writing something on a piece of paper so I just know for sure.
But I always look back to week 8 and I remember that they were 6-2 then. And then we had them 7-3 with the Browns. So this will make them 8-3. 8-3 through week 12. Yeah. So after that, we've got the Green Bay Packers. This is a game I'm not sure about. I
Yeah.
feel like this could go either way. What is your take on this, Connor, as a
Well, we
Eagles
beat them
fan?
last year in Lambeau.
Really?
And yeah, we beat them last year in Lambeau. It was a must-win for the Eagles because they were 1-2, and if they would have dropped to 1-3, it would have been really bad. So they had to win that game to be in contention with Dallas. And that's really funny about this division because it's almost like if someone wins, the other team loses, or if the other team wins, it's almost like they win or lose for each other to keep themselves in the NFC.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a close game. I feel like the issue with the Packers is what's happening with Aaron Rodgers.
Do you think? Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that because we were talking about that on yesterday's game, or not yesterday's game, but yesterday's podcast with Ryan. And the way he said it's going to go one of two ways. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers checked out, waiting for a trade or to be released, or it's going to be the Aaron Rodgers revenge tour, which probably seems more likely. That seems like the more realistic scenario because I don't see Aaron Rodgers as the guy to like lay down. He's going to be like, oh, you're going to draft a quarterback and not going to improve our team. Okay. Yeah, well, without improving our team, I'm going to go like take us to the NFC Championship anyways, just to show you how good I am and how stupid of a move that was.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, the one thing I've learned, because I love him because he slays the Cowboys every single time he faces them, always comes in clutch for me. Always count on Aaron Rodgers to beat the Cowboys. I haven't checked the Cowboys schedule. I hope there's Green Bay on there. But I think you're right, because at first, if I was Aaron Rodgers, I'd be like, you know what, trade me. That's what my attitude was at first, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think it will happen because I'm not sure where he would go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams have some good upcoming quarterbacks, and next year is not going to be much easier.
And he's going to start next year anyway. Like, they do believe in him for next year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think the Packers are winning this game.
I agree with you on that one. I think this is just – I think the fact that you also mentioned that they beat them in Lambeau last year, I think Green Bay will remember that as well and kind of want to defend it and kind of get some revenge there. And I think this will be a game that definitely – Aaron Rodgers will probably win this game and just go on a tear in this game. So
we still got Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams will be shut down a little bit from Darius Slay. So there is an opportunity, but Aaron Rodgers is so talented that he can overcome that. And literally, if you go back to that game where we beat the Green Bay Packers, it came down to a fourth down where it was picked off by Nigel Bradham.
I gotcha.
It took an interception in the red zone to beat him. And it was like literally – it just popped up in the air. It shouldn't have happened. Caught it, and we won the game. Really, the Packers should have won the game last year, but we just barely got there off the skin of our teeth.
So that puts them at 8-4 on the season, which is still pretty good.
Yeah.
And then they have another really tough game against arguably a better team.
Yeah.
I think objectively a better team. And I'm not even just saying that because I've got a Drew Brees jersey on. This one's at home, so I think it's going to be close. But and you know, obviously I'm biased in this, but I think this is going to be I think this will be another loss and put them in.
I think it's another loss too. I think they're going to go back-to-back losses.
And those are tough teams, though. When you got to play Seattle. If Cleveland has a good team this year, like we're saying, and they go Cleveland, Seahawks, Green Bay, New Orleans. I mean, that is a tough 4-game stretch. If you go they would only go 1-3 in it, but still, that's a tough 4-game stretch.
Yeah, to me, the Eagles need to start off really strong in that beginning of the season. They have to start off strong because they're not going to win these couple of games. And I had the Saints winning. I saw that on the game. I went, it's going to be probably close, but
I agree.
You signed Emmanuel Sanders off the 49ers. You signed Malcolm Jenkins away from us. And Malcolm Jenkins,
he's probably going to go off in that game.
Yeah.
Not even because he hates the Eagles, just because that's how former players, they usually go.
Yeah, I was a little upset about Malcolm Jenkins leaving because I knew how much he meant to the Eagles as a leadership. But Darius Slay, from what I've been reading and watching, is a leader like Malcolm Jenkins, so I'm not too worried about.
And he's going to have a chance to, like, do that in, like, a winning team, like, not in Detroit.
Yeah, Fletcher Cox, there's a recent article post that said, told Darius Slay, if you want to win, come to Philly.
Yeah.
Tells you all you need to know. And yeah, so it'll probably be a close game, but I think the Saints will pull it out. There is a history between Eagles and Saints. They played at Lincoln Financial Field a few years ago when Nick Foles was playing. It was really, really close game, but Drew Brees was able to get the ball back, get it down, and kick a
I think
field
I
goal.
remember that game now that you're
Yeah.
mentioning that. Yeah.
I remember LaShawn McCoy he played decently. He wasn't impressed. It was a back and forth game where it was like, oh, just doing this the whole time because just barely making it through each quarter. And then it took Drew Brees leading them down the field and getting a field goal.
Yeah. I think the Saints are going to be – they're going to be a team obviously, like I am sitting here in a Drew Brees jersey, but I think that the Saints are going to be a team that is really kind of – they're going to come out and they're going to play angry the whole year because the past 2 years for them have just been so underwhelming, and everybody's telling them there's all the hype. They're not the if Tom Brady didn't go to the Buccaneers, everybody would be talking about the Saints in the NFC South with their signings. Like they got better. You know what I'm saying? And I think with all the hype around Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, they're going to be really pissed off this season, and I think they're going to win a lot of games. With that being said, that doesn't necessarily mean I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, which we'll talk about later. Yeah. But regardless, getting back to the Eagles, this puts them at 8-5 to start the year, and then they've got to go play Arizona in Phoenix, which will be, I think, a closer game than people think because Arizona got a lot better. But I think that your Eagles will move to 9-5 on this one.
Yeah, they'll beat the Cardinals team. It's going to be a tough game just because Kyler Murray is going to get better, and they got DeAndre Hopkins, but they're still a very young team. They're still developing. They'll have a solid season. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but they'll be better, and there'll be some good moments. But the Eagles should win this game.
I agree.
I would say by 10 points, touchdown, something around that line, they'll win that game.
If Carson Wentz is still healthy at this point in the season,
hopefully
he is. Hopefully he is. This is under the assumption he is. I think this will be the game you see the least of Jalen Hurts if they're using him throughout the season because of the fact that Isaiah Simmons can probably I think he can just kind of take that out.
Yeah.
Because he's so just dynamic and versatile.
Here's what may happen, and this is a theory I kind of have. Just a gut feeling. If Carson Wentz gets injured, like at the Seahawks, Packers, Eagles, he might get injured around that point in time.
Yeah, with those tough games.
Maybe playing. And even with them playing, I still feel pretty good.
Yeah, me too.
I feel really solid. I feel better with Carson Wentz, but I don't know. Something about Jalen Hurts, when I hear him like, oh, he's going to play, I'm like, oh, he's going to play? All right, sounds good. Like, I don't get nervous at all. I think he's really calm and steady.
And he's been through a lot of adversity too. So he's not going to be that type of guy where, like, if he throws an interception, he's screwed for the rest of the game.
No, he's really mentally strong. The fact that after a game he went and worked out and did a conference after it, and they said, well, you usually go to the gym after you win? He's like, no, I just had some on my mind, so I had to get it off. So what was on your mind? Didn't say anything. But I love his mentality, so it doesn't matter. I think if Wentz or Hurts is in, it'll probably be a similar outcome. But I'd rather have Wentz just because I think he's a better thrower of the football.
Yeah.
Wanted right now. And you sign him to a big contract, I'd like to have him on the field.
Yeah. So your Eagles are 9-5 through week 15.
Yeah.
And then you got to go to Jerry World and play the Cowboys at home in the second to last week of the season. Yeah. I told you earlier that I thought they were going to split the series. So I have them at 9-6 at this point. What do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, it all depends on where the Cowboys are at.
Yeah, I
agree.
agree.
They may be way ahead, so this game doesn't mean anything, or they'll be really close, and whoever wins this game wins the division. It could flip.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think this game is going to determine the division.
What will happen is maybe if we go back to November 1st, where the Eagles first play the Cowboys, that the Cowboys may beat the Eagles, and then the Eagles come back and beat them, because that's kind of in the history. Eagles usually beat them later in the season. So it could happen. It all depends, but realistically, if I'm just looking at a schedule standpoint, they should lose one of these games against the Cowboys. And if you're looking at it objectively, it should be that game. But it all depends what's going on. What's the situation in the NFC East, like for any other team?
These are both going to be really close games. I'm with you, though. Like I said, I think they'll lose this one. I think what's going to happen is I think going into this game, the Eagles are going to be 9-5. And the Cowboys are going to be 10-4 or something like that. Like, I don't know if they'll be 10-4. They might be 9-4 depending on their bye week. I don't know. This is week 16, so I don't think they have a bye week 17. So I think they'll be 10-4, something like that. Or they might be 9-5 too. I don't know.
Yeah. So
regardless,
the Eagles would have to win that game.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like this game, like you said, is going to decide the division.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then I'd have to pick the Eagles to win because they have to win it. But if it's in a position where it's like they're both like the Cowboys are behind, I think the Cowboys will win it to tie up the division. And then it's going to be up to that Redskins game. But it'll be interesting when we actually see what happens.
Yeah.
Because the Cowboys could just run away with it, and the Eagles can do anything. They might just.
I could see that too. Like I could see the Cowboys going 8-8. I could also see the Cowboys going 12-4.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what's going to happen, but for the sake of this, your Eagles are 9-6 right now, and I'm sure, as we both agree, 10-6 on the season when they beat the Redskins in Week 17 at home.
Yeah, 10-6 may win the division. It should sure up a wild card spot because. They'll
definitely make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, they should make the playoffs again, which would be good. Yeah, they'll beat the Redskins. It'll be another tough game, but I think it's the end of the season. They're playing against them. The Redskins are kind of up and down because they still haven't really figured out what they want to do as a team, what schemes they want to run. That's all kind of being tested, especially with COVID going on. You don't have training camps or OTAs. Maybe the only time they'll get to practice is pre-season.
Yep.
And I think they'll struggle. And the Eagles will win this game, making them 10-6.
Yeah,
which is kind of what I had. My dad told me he was at 11-5 or 10-6. That's kind of the record we had in mind.
That's what we have as well on the JTM. So yeah, do you think Connor MacKinnon that wins the division? Yes or no?
11-5 or 10-6?
10-6. What we predicted on the show. Do you think that wins the division for the Eagles? I think it's a possibility, but I also think it could not be a possibility.
Yeah, that's the weird part about this is I think it's possible, but I'm not sure. I have a gut feeling that if Dak Prescott, like this either works really well or it just goes terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Meaning the Eagles win, but it's all about what I see from Eagles the first couple of weeks. If they're putting up points like nobody's business and those receivers just grinding, they can compete with the Cowboys because the Cowboys got better, but the Eagles got better as well. And the Eagles were down so many people last year, and they still were beating a Cowboys team that was pretty solid. And now that you have more pieces and weapons, it's going to be harder to beat them.
I think the NFC East is definitely a toss-up and a battle between the Eagles and the Cowboys, just like I think that the NFC South is a battle and a toss-up between the Bucs and the Saints.
So you can understand that. It's hard.
But I got to, like right now, obviously things could totally change once the season starts. We haven't seen anything. But right now, do you think 10-6 wins the division?
Can I look at the Dallas Cowboys schedule really quick?
Yes, and I'll look at it too. Because tell me who they play. Me personally, I think the Cowboys are going to win the division this year.
Yeah.
That's just my gut feeling. I think they're either going to go to 11-5 and 12-4. I'm kind of leaning towards 11-5, so they'll only win by just one more game. But here's my thing. I know we haven't seen Mike McCarthy in a little bit, but anything's better than Jason Garrett. That's just kind of my interpretation. So I think it's not unreasonable for them to win 3 more games with Mike McCarthy, especially considering they got better this year. I think a big reason that they win 8-8 for the past for however long is because, like I said, Jason Garrett is the most incompetent head coach in NFL history, in my opinion.
So I can't
behind Nick Saban.
Yeah, so I pulled up Dallas Cowboys schedule.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
I said it again.
I said behind Nick Saban. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, I was just trying to calculate in my head which team to lose to. They start the first 2 games, play the Rams, play Falcons, and then they play the Seahawks. I can see them losing the Seahawks game. That'll be close.
Yeah.
So I can see them losing. Then they play the Browns.
That's another game.
That's another game they could lose. That's 2. They got Giants, Cardinals, Redskins, Eagles at home. They may win that or lose that, so I'll put that kind of maybe. So I'll still have 2 losses right now.
Yeah, I agree.
They got Steelers, Vikings. I think they'll lose against the Vikings. Redskins, Ravens. They'll lose against the Ravens. Bengals, 49ers will lose against the 49ers probably. Then they got Eagles again, Giants. So 10-6 could win division. It could end up being 11-5 situation. 12-4. Like you said, I think they might win one of those games.
I think they'll beat I think out of all those games you're mentioning, I think they'll beat the Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings. Yeah, they lost.
I think the Cowboys will beat the Vikings this year. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I think that'll
They're
be a
at
close
home.
game.
Vikings are at home.
Well,
Maybe.
I still obviously I'm a Saints fan, so
yeah.
I don't like saying that the Vikings are going to win anything because every time that they win something that matters, they just go and lose the next game. But with that being said, I think that the Cowboys will win that game. And I think that, but I do think they'll lose to the Eagles in game one at home. When the Eagles are at home. So in that situation, that might be, well, I don't know if they'd have 5 or 6 losses. I don't know. Imagine a 10-6, like both teams are 10-6, like the Eagles and the Cowboys finish 10-6 and they go 1-1. What's the tiebreaker after that? Because I honestly could see that.
I think at that. I just forget what the rules are, but there's a rule if there's a tiebreaker in the division.
Is it the most division wins? It's probably that's what it goes to next.
It is. It's division wins.
But like theoretically, in that situation, the Eagles and the Cowboys go to win all their other games, so they'd have the same amount.
Yeah.
So then there's got to be something after that. Because honestly, I think that's more realistic.
I'm looking up the tiebreakers for division rules.
Yeah.
I'm curious what it is. It's got to be like, okay, most wins.
Maybe points for games.
No, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So it goes head to head if applicable.
Yeah. And that's tied.
Then it goes best won-loss tie percentage in games played within the conference. Best won-loss tie percentage in common games, minimum of 4. Strength of victory, strength of schedule.
Okay.
So it's like if it doesn't go, it goes. You don't win against them. What's your record in the conference? Then it goes your winning percentage after that. So
okay.
They have. So
that'll be interesting. I don't know who will win that. The Eagles have a pretty darn tough schedule.
Yeah. So the Cowboys too. They could. The Falcons are weird because I don't know. I feel like they could get.
They're a sleeper team for a wild card this year.
Yeah, and
because they got Todd Gurley.
Because the Cowboys.
I could see the Falcons going 9-7 and being.
It would make me very happy if the Cowboys beat the Rams. Then they lose the next 3 games to the Falcons, Seahawks, and Browns. That would make me very happy. But I doubt it. It could happen just because they've been really dysfunctional.
Sorry to interrupt you. So do you think that it just I know we've been going off on all these tangents, and this has been good conversation because like I said, I personally think Cowboys will go 11-5, win, and the Eagles will go 10-6. Your personal opinion, do you think the 10-6 Eagles win the division?
I think it does.
I got you. I see where you're coming from. I could see it.
It'll be another situation where it's gonna come down to that last game against Dallas, probably, because the Cowboys don't have an easy schedule either. There's a lot of games there where it can be iffy.
And you've watched more Cowboy football than I have, to be honest. So
yeah, and they played down to competition. Hell, they lost the Jets last season, and no one saw that coming.
I just think a big part of that was Jason Garrett.
Yeah, I don't have enough where I was hoping they would re-sign him because I don't know what Mike McCarthy's going to do, but Mike McCarthy's not much better because when Aaron Rodgers was playing, he was getting massages while the practices were going on.
Yep.
What type of coach is that? And he hasn't won anything since.
He's definitely got some questions, but I think he's better than Jason Garrett.
No question.
Which I think can win them the division. And like you said, with history, I think it'll be close. But with that, and I think the Cowboys will go 11-5 and win. But with what you're saying, I could also see a world where the Eagles still go 10-6 and that's wins the division too. So I don't think that's unrealistic at all. And I could totally see that happening. But just me personally, my gut's saying pick the Cowboys. So as of right now, Connor, your prediction on the JTM is Eagles win the division at 10-6. Mine is they're the wild card. Regardless, what are your playoff thoughts and predictions as of right now? Obviously, we don't know any of this because we're mobile, because Connor's mobile right now.
Yeah, I have to get charger because I didn't want to leave. And I was like, oh, crap, I'm running out of battery because I started at 55. Yeah. I went, oh, that'll be enough.
Yeah.
And it ended up not being enough at all. So I'm getting out of the living room to get my charger. And I didn't want to leave my computer there and have that weird, awkward sound. So you're like, well, Connor's not here, but we'll be back after this commercial break.
Yeah.
There's no commercial break. So gotta keep it.
And there wasn't a commercial break. But there wasn't a commercial break.
My wonderful house, everyone, if you made it this far.
I was going to say, yeah, if you're listening this far, thank you so much. And also, if you're on the audio version, Connor just took a trip around his house. So go check that out. Oh, a bunch of guns in the back. You know you're in Texas.
Crap. Yeah. Well, I joked with Jude earlier. People don't know this, and people listening. I have parents who are Canadian, but they love guns. Figure that. The world we live in today.
Maybe that's why they're in Texas. Anyways.
Trust me, it's not.
But with that being said, what are your Eagles playoff predictions?
Okay, when it comes to just plug this bad boy in. But when it comes to the playoffs as a whole, the Eagles have a shot at getting to the divisional round, but that's as far as I see them going. I agree. I don't think they have the depth. They have depth, but the question is,
the other teams are just so good. That's my opinion.
Can they beat Tampa Bay? No, I don't think they can beat Tampa Bay. I don't think they have the defense to withstand that. They're a tough team, yeah, because that's just how Philly is.
I think they'll play the divisional tough.
They'll play a division tough, but once they get out in the open, because probably the first game they play is going to be a Seattle, maybe Dallas potentially. You never know with how everything works. And they'll probably win those games because they've just been ready and they've been in the playoffs before. But the way Philly made their run to the Super Bowl was against they weren't the best teams. You know what I mean? They didn't have the best quarterbacks. They beat the Falcons with Matt Ryan, who's okay. He had won that one MVP season. Then you play against a backup quarterback, basically, in the Vikings. What's his name? Keenum. Case Keenum.
Oh, Case Keenum, yeah.
Case Keenum. And he was pretty much a backup
Houston legend.
So they had a really good run, but a lot of things went their way to get to that Super Bowl. And, of course, yeah, they did beat Tom Brady, who had a Super Bowl record over 500 yards passing. But you're going to be playing against quarterbacks that Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, now that he's in the NFC. And those are no joke. Dak Prescott, this is no joke. Dak Prescott's actually won a playoff game. Carson Wentz has not won a playoff game.
Yeah.
He's been in one, but only for 4 snaps. And it was 1 for 4 passing in those snaps. So the Eagles are battle-tested for everyone else except for Carson Wentz. And that team's going to go as Carson Wentz goes, and we've seen how that's gone. Not well, because it was health. And I honestly believe Jalen Hurts may take over the team at some point, and they're going to ride him because he's probably just going to
pause. Anyways, no, I agree with everything you said. I think there is one way that the Eagles can get to the NFC Championship. And that's if, for some odd reason, they get in the bracket where they play the Cowboys in the divisional. Just because you never know. Like, I think they have a chance to win that game if they ended up playing the Cowboys. Because they always, whenever the Eagles and the Cowboys play, both teams have a chance to win. It doesn't matter what the records are. So that's my opinion. With that being said, though, I agree with you. I think they'll only get to the divisional because I don't think the Cowboys will get those buys. I don't think that'll happen. I think there will be other teams that are better than them that will get those first-round buys. But if for some reason they did and the Eagles ended up playing them, they'd have a chance. I don't think that's going to happen, and I agree with you that I think they'll only go to the divisional.
Yeah, I wish I had like an imaginary bracket like with all the teams so I can see.
Yeah, right. You can see the visual in front of you. Yeah. But so final question here. Now that we've got all of the Eagles stuff and what you think is going to happen this year in our NFL predictions on the JTM, 10-6 reminder, and goes to the divisional. Do you think they'll go to the divisional? Do you think they'll win their wild card? If you could say it right now.
Say the team again.
Well, I don't know who they'd be playing. Just theoretically.
The Eagles.
Yeah. Would they go to? You think they'll go to the? Like, what's your prediction on the season? Lost in the divisional round, or lost in wild card?
They'll probably win the wild card just because they.
I agree.
But they'll win a wild card game because the team they'll face will be tough, close game, but they can pull it out. I think they'll probably have the home field advantage. But they'll probably go on the road the next game. Yeah, I was trying to look up like
potential schedule, like brackets. Yeah,
I was trying to see if they had it. There's really nothing there. But yeah, they can make it to the divisional round. But as you said, Jude, if they get the Cowboys in the divisional
I'm sorry, I gotta pee. I've been trying to hold it for so long. I was like, let me get through the podcast. And I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'll be right back. I didn't want to make an edit for the people on YouTube, but we're going to have it. And for the audio version, I have to pee so bad.
All right. It's all good.
All right, people, we're back. Dude, I tried so hard to push through that. No, like it's more like even me than you. Like I just wanted to get through without any having to edit, but it's fine. It's not even gonna be that bad. It'll be like one edit clip, but I don't know. I wish I could see like where we were at in the time of this recording just so I could like write it down, but I'll go find it. No worries. I can actually on iMovie, it shows where there's no audio, so I can actually probably find it pretty easily.
Okay.
But anyways, we have, like we said, just as a little bit of a recap, we have the Eagles on the JTM from Connor going to the divisional round in a loss. I think that's going to happen as well, even though I have them not winning the division. But with that being said, now that we've got that established, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl and who do you think is going to be there?
I think it's going to be Chiefs in Tampa Bay. It's kind of the pick
Me too.
Has, but I think people are writing off Tom Brady a little too quick. I believe with all the weapons that he has, it is going to be a nightmare for the NFC to deal with. He's going to probably cruise through it. They probably face the Saints.
An NFC Championship. That's what I think too. I think the Bucs will win. Like I said, I think and this year, if you look at our predictions yesterday, I think the Saints win the division, but I think the Bucs go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick because I know the Tampa Bay and Saints face first, and a lot of people are picking Tampa Bay to win that game.
I don't think the first one of the year, and that's what my friend Ryan, who is a Buccaneers fan, he was like, I think that the Saints will win that game because there's not as much offseason stuff. The guys got a mesh. It's in New Orleans in the Superdome. So I think the Saints will pull that one out. And I think that the Bucs have a little bit of a harder schedule than the Saints do this year. But with that being said, like you said, I think that it'll be Chiefs Bucs in the Super Bowl. And who do you think is going to win that game, Connor? I know who I have. Do you want me to say mine?
The issue is I feel like if you say yours,
okay. I got you. No. Let's let you think. I don't want to influence you.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think of the Chiefs' weapons. Who they're going to have.
What I can tell you about the Chiefs is they got better this year.
Yeah, they did.
And that's one of the things that Ryan talked about. We talked about it on yesterday's episode. That there's a reason that they picked Clyde Edwards-Helaire over DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, and Jonathan Taylor.
I'm just worried about the Chiefs defensively. I like the Bucs defense better than I like the Chiefs defense, and the weapons I like a little bit better for the Bucs than I do. But if I'm taking a quarterback, I take Patrick Mahomes. But the issue is I'm wondering if the offensive arsenal of the Bucs is going to overtake the Chiefs because they don't have much of a defense in the secondary that I can remember. Their D-line's pretty good. Man, I would like my heart, my head's telling me Bucs are going to win, but I'd rather have the Chiefs win from my heart, like what I would rather see. And it'd be a cool moment for storyline seeing Tom Brady lose in a close game and like
pass the torch
off to like Patrick Mahomes saying, "You did it, son. Now you're better than me." Like some crap like that. I think Tom Brady might win that. I have to go Bucs.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what Ryan went to. But I have the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs.
I don't blame you picking the Chiefs either.
I think that it's going to be a similar game to this year, but it's going to be closer. But I think that the Bucs are going to come out strong because they're the better overall team. But I think that late in the game, that Chiefs defense is just going to make some stops, and or Tom Brady at 40 years old is going to miss a throw that he's never missed in the Super Bowl before, like a wide open slant on like 3rd and 7, and he's just going to throw it into the dirt on accident. It's going to be a little bit inaccurate, and they're just going to give Patrick Mahomes some chances, and he's going to go win that game. And like you said, I think it's just going to be the passing of the torch.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
you're good. You're good.
What I was going to say is if Tom Brady has like an MVP caliber season, I'm picking the Bucs because if he still has the skills and they haven't diminished, he's making really solid throws. then I'm going to take Tom Brady. But for example, let's say Tom Brady has a decent season. They're winning, but it's mostly because of the receivers and not Tom Brady. I'm going to pick the Chiefs because I trust Mahomes to make the plays down the field. But if Brady's still looking really good and he has all the skills there, they haven't diminished. He's making great throws, and I got to pick Brady. And when it comes to clutch situations and Brady looks good and he's been healthy throughout the season, I don't know if I can take Brady over Mahomes because Brady has so much experience coming back. Well, that Atlanta game, the Super Bowl, where they came back and beat Atlanta, there was no way that should happen ever.
Yeah.
But he led the team. And there's a feeling that you get when you watch great players. Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, whenever they have the ball in their hands and they go in the fourth quarter, when they're 3 minutes left on the clock and they have the ball, they're down 3 points, 4 points. You just get that sick feeling if you're the fan of the opposing team going, oh, God, he's got the ball in his hands. I don't know about that. You start shaking and you get a little nervous because you know what they can do. And I think from an experience standpoint, if Brady, like you mentioned.
I get what you're saying. I think it's going to be a close game. I think even if Brady has an MVP season, I think that this is just Patrick Mahomes asserting his dominance on the NFL.
I hope so. I would like
That's what I think that's what's going to happen. I just think that he's going to be like, it doesn't. Amanda's FaceTiming me, bro. This is 2 days in a row. I told her it would be different. With this being said, I appreciate that she wants to talk to me. I really do. It means a lot. But at the same time,
she just listened to the podcast.
I did text her before this, and I was like, I'll text you after I'm done recording. And she probably, now that she knows that, like, well, probably since it got declined, she's probably like, yeah, I
like that.
Recording.
Amanda's opinion on it, because if I'm being honest, I think Amanda's more eagle-headed than I am.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I feel if I tell her I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl, she goes, "What do you mean they're not winning a Super Bowl? Of course they're going to win it." I don't know about that one.
Yeah. She said that. I was like, yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief.
The worst part is she's like, "Oh yeah, the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl." I went, "Oh my gosh, you sound like a Cowboys fan."
Yeah, that's what I said too. That's the worst thing. That's the worst insult for an Eagles fan, man. Yeah, it sounds like a Cowboys fan. Anyways, with that being said, I think that Patrick Mahomes is just – I think he's going to be like, I'm the best quarterback in the league. I'm the best player in the league. And Brady, you can have the best game, but I'm just better than you. And nobody's ever seen anything like me before. And – yeah, I think he's just – I think they're going to score more points than the Buccaneers.
I don't blame you because
it could be a high-scoring game. It could be 48-45. I'm not saying that the defense is going to stop them. I just think I think they're going to get enough stops. I think that the Chiefs got better on offense, and it's like, okay, I know that Buccaneers defense is really good, but is that Buccaneers defense better than last year's Niners defense?
No.
Exactly. See, that's my thinking. Like, and I really like the Bucs defense, and I really like that Bucs team, but that's my thing.
I think what gets me is that you have a 2 tight end set with O.J. Howard, Rob Gronkowski.
You got 3, dog, and Cameron Brate.
Okay, and you have Chris Godwin.
Like I said, they're going to score a lot of points. I just think Mahomes is going to score more.
Yeah, if it comes to a shootout, I'm not picking the Bucs. I think that
that's what I think it's going to be.
Yeah, because the Eagles made it a shootout and they won, and with a backup quarterback, and Tom Brady arguably had his best game of his career, and he still lost. So I can actually see your thinking. I just think this is the first time since Brady had Moss where he has that many offensive weapons.
And he did sign a 2-year contract, so we could also have Bucs Chiefs back-to-back years, and this year Brady wins, and then next year it's the passing of the torch. I think that's completely realistic too.
I think the Tampa Bay has an easier path than the AFC does with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to have a battle test.
And they might be injured, but that could also help them too. And another big factor here is the Super Bowl is in Tampa. So that's another big factor as well. It's basically going to be a home game. But I think personally, like I said, this is basically me just saying I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be like, this is going to be his game where he's like, I'm potentially the greatest quarterback you've ever seen. Like, that's what I think is going to happen, because what he did in that playoff run last year, I mean, teams were up. and it didn't matter. In
No.
the Super Bowl, the best defense in the NFL was there, which I think is more talented than this Bucs defense. And he's like, "Oh, give me 3 drives with like 7 minutes to play. Yeah, we'll win. Yeah, I'll win the game." You know, like I'll throw like an 80-yard pass on 3rd and 17 when all hope is lost on a 10-step drop. You know,
he's
like
the most talented quarterback I've ever seen because he'll make throws where they just shouldn't be thrown. He'll throw in a triple coverage and Tyreek Hill gets it. And get it, that's Tyreek Hill because he's fast, but it's also because of ball placement too. He makes throws that he doesn't even look while he throws it. Sometimes it's got him a little bit. You get a little too cocky. He's throwing it where it just goes the other direction completely. But when it comes to mobility, arm strength, accuracy, being able to change plays on the fly, he's got it. He's got it all. And that's the scariest part. But I think what will be interesting is seeing the Ravens and the Chiefs.
That will be such a good game. And I feel bad for Lamar Jackson, dude. I think he'll get one in his career. I think he'll get like 1 Super Bowl. But I think the rest, he's just going to have to continually lose to Patrick Mahomes, which just sucks.
It's going to be Tom Brady, Peyton Manning type deal.
Yeah.
Where Patrick Mahomes,
he'll be the Peyton Manning of it.
It's just the issue is he's
or he could go to a team in like the NFC and he could just be like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. No, but the Ravens are so good, so I don't think that'll happen. And he'd still have to deal with Mahomes at that point.
I keep an eye on the Browns too. The Browns could be surprising.
I agree.
The Browns could be surprising. They can make the AFC Championship. I don't think they beat them, but if for whatever reason that game's close and Baker Mayfield's weird to me because he's so competitive.
I agree. It's weird. You're mentioning that, dude, and there's a sliver. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think there's a chance. Like you're saying that, and I'm like, there's a chance if they go on a run, the Browns might make the Super Bowl. I don't think that's going to happen, but you're saying that, and I'm like, oh, God, that could happen.
And they've got helmet hitting Myles Garrett there.
Yeah.
A joke's also, he is a great defensive lineman. He just made a terrible mistake that you should never, ever make on a football field.
But, and I agree with you, and yes, it is inexcusable, but if Mason Rudolph did say that, I understand where he's coming from. I understand. Like, I don't think you should ever swing a helmet at somebody, but in the heat of the moment, in that situation, if Mason Rudolph said that, I get where he's coming from.
No, I wouldn't blame him at all either. But like, you should never. Like a lot of bad things are said to you all the time, and that's the worst word you can ever use in the English language to talk to someone. And you should not fight someone, but those are fighting words.
Yeah, and especially just the way that game had been too, like the animosity and the energy. Like if that happened, I totally get it. I can understand why it happened.
But no, I think the Browns could be interesting because it's weird. I'll play Madden. And they just randomly get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
how they get there, and they just ran. I'm not saying it has any indication what's going to happen, but the Browns are a weird team. They got good, solid receivers. We'll have to see. I'm looking forward to the NFL season if it happens.
I think it will. I was listening to Mark Brown's podcast today, and he's had like 3 like different like major writers on the show recently, and the way that they scheduled the NFL. They seem very confident that it's going to happen. It may be with no fans. But I don't care. If we get football, we get football. That's what I want. And if it's no fans, whatever, dude. Let's just play. Let's have the NFL because this is the first time that I've been involved in it and excited for it in a couple of years. So, with that being said, usually this would be the end of the podcast, but I just want to wrap up this segment because I actually thought of some other things I wanted to ask you about after this. Still on the show, but to wrap up our Eagles NFL predictions, we've got them going to the divisional round and losing, going 10-6 in the season. Connor has them winning the division. I have them wild card. Regardless, they're going to play in the wild card game in this scenario. So we basically predicted the same thing. Yeah, we predicted they'd have the same record. I just think the Cowboys will win the division.
I think it's a play to go wild card. I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm going to say they're going to win the division, even though probably they won't.
Yeah,
but I'm just hoping.
But your logic isn't like outrageous. No. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I can see where you're coming from. Like I could see that happening, and it's so early, like we're in May, but that wraps that up. Me and Connor also have the Bucs and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Connor's got the Bucs. I've got the Chiefs. So 2 times in a row, the first 2 people have predicted the same Super Bowl, but have gone with the Bucks on my guess. I still have the Chiefs. I'm going to be curious to see when I have a fan, or not fan, but guest that picks the Bucks, or not the Bucks, but the Chiefs. So I won't have to be alone on this one. But anyways, just as some final thoughts here, I want to ask you a little bit about college football, just because I thought about it. If you had to go, I know you're not, super fan, super into it, but if you had to go with playoff predictions, to just off the top of the head, top 4 teams next year, who are you picking?
LSU, Clemson, Alabama. I don't know who the 4th spot. Maybe Ohio State. Kind of similar to what it's been for the last 5 years. Just
you think 2 SEC teams?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Ohio State, but they got Justin Fields.
Ohio State will win. They'll be in, because there's nobody else in the Big Ten that's going to challenge them. So I think even if they have a loss, they're going to win the Big Ten. So they're going to get in for sure.
What makes me laugh is that you say things like Pac-12, Big Ten. I'm like, I kind of know what that is, but I don't know really. So I know what you're meaning. It's me again. I'm like, that's how much out touch I am.
It's their conference.
Yeah, I know it's their conference. I just don't know
the teams that are in there.
Yeah, I kind of get it.
They have Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, okay. Penn State. Penn State is a sleeper team.
Yeah,
Penn State's a sleeper team.
Running backs they produce are fantastic over there,
and they have a good quarterback too right now in Sean Clifford. That's where KJ Hamler's from as well. He was another receiver that I feel like the Eagles could have picked too.
Denver Broncos got.
But yeah. So, and I don't think if Bryce Young, who's the 5-star recruit out of Mater Dei for Alabama, plays the whole season, I could see them winning the SEC or going in with 1 loss as a second team. But I think they're going to start Mac Jones. Do you know that Mac Jones, the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide, is Jerry Jones's grandson?
I know who that. I know. Yeah. I saw a videotape of his grandson.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, he's the starting quarterback for the Crimson Tide, and I think he's going to play next year. And then I think he's going to be done, because I think they're going to start Bryce Young after that. But I think Saban's going to play him next year, and I think they're going to have 2 losses, because he couldn't beat Auburn this year, and Bo Nix is going to be a year better at Auburn. So I think they're going to start Mac Jones the whole season, so I don't think they're going to make the playoff. I would personally lean towards a Penn State or maybe an Oklahoma from the Big 12.
Oklahoma's doing.
They have Spencer Rattler, who's another 5-star recruit at quarterback. And if Lincoln Riley continues to do what they do, they'll probably win the Big 12. I could also see Baylor. I think there's a slim chance in my head that Texas wins it. I don't think it's going to happen. I could see it, though. There's a slim chance. I don't think so. I think it's going to be either Baylor or Oklahoma. So maybe one of those 2 teams could get in. But I think for sure the locks are Clemson and Ohio State. And then I think it's either going to be between Alabama, LSU, and Auburn in the SEC. I go with LSU. Obviously, I'm biased on that one. If it's not LSU, I think it's going to be Auburn. And then if Bryce Young does play the whole season and does really well and doesn't make very many mistakes, then it would be Bama. And then either Oklahoma or Baylor. But anyways, Connor's got Bama, LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson, which I still think is possible, by the way, because if for example, Mac Jones plays up until the LSU game and they've been playing Bryce Young a little bit, you saw with Tua, the way that he came in, old Saban's not afraid to pull the trigger at any point, you know? So I could see them playing with Mac Jones and then them losing to LSU and then making Bryce Young the starter, and he just dominates the rest of the season. And the college football playoff voters are just like, okay, this is a totally different team with Bryce Young in. So, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but he's super dynamic and he's got a great arm, but he's also, an improviser. He's a great scrambler. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But anyways, we've been going for a while now. So you got any last thoughts, Connor?
No, I was just thinking about re-ranking them because I just picked the 4 Ram. I didn't really rank them.
Okay, you got a revision?
Yeah, I think so. Who did I have originally? Because I know I just picked them randomly.
Yeah, you had Bama, LSU, Clemson, and Ohio State, which, to be fair, is actually realistic. So to go off the dome and not know that much about college football, that's a pretty decent prediction.
I go Bama 4th.
Okay.
I go LSU 3rd. I'll go Ohio State second, and Clemson first.
Gotcha. Who do you think's going to win?
I don't know what Clemens has for receivers, but I know LSU still has that bad man Jamar Chase, and I don't know if they still have that guy Marshall who played.
Terrace Marshall is a junior.
Yeah, and he played really well too.
He's really underrated. I think he's going to end up being like by the time that the NFL draft rolls around next year, I think he's going to be the second best receiver in the draft. I think that LSU is going to put out the next best 2 receivers in the draft next year.
And Miles Brennan, I don't know much about him, but I know that he's in his last year.
He's actually got 2 more years left. He's a redshirt junior.
Okay. Because I was hearing something about him playing high school football and that he put up
He was in the Elite 11 with Sean Clifford. Do you know what the Elite 11 is, right?
No.
Okay. So every year they do the top 11 high school quarterbacks in the country, and they go to a camp ran by Trent Dilfer, and they work and like Peyton Manning will come, and they'll go work with all these like great quarterbacks, right? Drew Brees will go, whoever. He was in the class with Sam Ehlinger, Sean Clifford, Tua Tagovailoa, Jake Fromm, and then in the very left, there's this blonde kid named Miles Brennan that everybody forgets about. But yeah, so what do you think?
I'd like to see a rematch of
Clemson LSU. That's what I think is going to happen.
I like to see that. I
think Clemson's going to win, though, to be honest. I think this is going to be the Trevor Lawrence revenge tour, and he's just going to beat the crap out of everybody. Like, I think next year Clemson is going to be doing like the Imperial Death March, and like they're just going to be the Death Star running through college football, and Trevor Lawrence is Darth Vader.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence played pretty bad in that.
But he doesn't like die in the end. That was this year.
I want to say Clemson too, but I don't know who they have. Well, okay.
They have Justin Ross. Yeah, Justin Ross was the receiver who went off against Alabama his freshman year. So, and they've got some other guys too. They always have good people. And remember, Travis Etienne came back.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
And he would have been a 1st to 2nd round pick at running back in the NFL. He is an NFL running back that will be playing college football next year.
Yeah, I'll probably go Clemson too because I know they lost, and that plays a big factor in me because Trevor Lawrence probably
that was his first loss in his career, dude. He went 29-0.
I wouldn't want to mess with that man when he gets a loss because he has amazing talent at that position. So I would assume
he played the worst game of his career in that game, and I think that he's just about to learn from it, and it's just going to be on his mind the whole season. Because he's felt what victory tastes like, and he's dismantled a dynasty, right? Against Tua, right? Who played well, or didn't play great in that game, but like he was there the whole game. You know what I'm saying? And I just think he's going to go into this season, like I said, they're going to be the Imperial Death March.
Well, to see not saying I wouldn't be surprised LSU pulling it out because LSU, I love their receiving core. They always have solid receivers and cornerbacks, and
they still have Stingley. Stingley's the best cornerback in the league, not in the league, but in college football.
That's what they were saying. I remember I watched games. They said
he might play offense this year. I'm serious.
No, so yeah, I'll go Clemson for winning it all, but I wouldn't be surprised if LSU had a shot in Miles Brennan.
Me too. I could see it too because Brennan's got a bigger arm than Burrow. He could be really good. He could be really good. But I think Clemson's going to win.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks so much for coming on, Connor. We went a while. We went longer than I thought we would on this one, to be honest. But we talked about a lot. Thank you so much for coming on. Now, for real, the last time. Any last words?
Nope, that's it. Hope the Eagles actually win. Go 10-6, win division. I think wild card's probably a smarter choice just because I think Dallas, they're run right through it. And then college football, Clemson probably pulling it off. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of cool headlines throughout each individual sport going on. I can't wait to see sports coming back on because I've missed that so much. So I'm just.
Did you hear? Okay, now we're like off on another tangent because I kind of want to end the episode. We've been going for a while, but did you hear that the NBA season is probably going to happen in one location?
Yeah, I heard about that.
So that's good news.
Yeah, it's good news for LeBron. I'll say that.
Yeah. It is. It is. I think that the Lakers have a lot better chance for a championship now with this break.
Yeah, especially I think there's a lot.
Because I'm a Clippers guy all the way. Like, not like a fan, but I think that's who I thought was going to win. But I don't know now. I think it might be the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't blame you, but I want the Clippers to win, so I'll pick the Clippers. I'm not a LeBron fan. I respect him for who he is, but I just don't think he's as great as
I think the Clippers were just so deep. That was my reasoning.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Continue.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I mean, it's interesting because this Jordan documentary coming out, The Last Dance, has put a lot of pressure on LeBron. I know LeBron's reacting to it, but a lot of people are making these comparisons even more than there was.
And they're just like, LeBron, look what Jordan did and LeBron hasn't done.
Yeah, it's kind of, so I think LeBron needs this NBA season. I don't see him winning another championship unless this season starts right now. Because I don't think he can go another season without a championship. This needs to be the year he wins another one to kind of cement his legacy up there.
Yeah. Kawhi has been load managing for like 3 months now, though, so we'll see. He could just come out, and this could be really good for him. But I also think it could mess up like the momentum at the same time too. But anyways, we'll end this here. We can talk about this at another time too. But anyways, thank you so much for coming on, Connor. This has been NFL predictions for the Philadelphia Eagles with Connor MacKinnon. We went 10-6. They're going to lose in the divisional round. Pretty good season. Better than last year. But you never know what can happen in the NFL or in college football. So we'll catch you guys next time. This has been episode 34 of the JTM. See you guys later.